BKFerrario.com for full details and rules to enter today. No purchase necessary. Ends June 30th, 2025.
Seven o'clock in St. Louis. You're listening to TMA. It's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. Doug, I don't know if you saw the co-founder of the Fairmount Park Players Club and what he said in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat. Okay. The butterflies I get every morning at 6:59 a.m. Wow. It's like my first kiss every day.
Because he's about to do what? Listen to us?
Right.
It's like his first kiss of the day. He needs to get a little bit more romance in his life, perhaps.
Started as a compliment, and now you turned on him.
Yeah. I mean, that was a wonderful sentence.
He's clicking off right now.
Yeah.
Let's be upfront. It's kind of odd.
You think it's more like a first handshake?
Maybe.
You remember your first handshake, Doug?
I don't.
Did you ever have butterflies in your stomach doing this program?
No, not really. Should I? Am I supposed to?
Doug and I had a discussion off air. We were watching the NBA draft recap. And everyone was crying, a lot of tears.
Very emotional.
And Doug said, I have never been so happy that I was moved to tears.
No, I don't think I've ever experienced that emotion where, something great happened to me. I'm going to start crying now.
First threesome.
Yeah.
First Emmy?
Yeah. I don't know which one's more vapid, the threesome or the Emmy.
So you tweet about it.
I think privately we know the threesome means a lot more than the Emmy. Doug, you'd agree with me on that, I think.
Except that I've had an Emmy. I've never had a threesome. I couldn't tell you.
Clip that off. Do they both come with trophies? You get little statuettes?
You can call in with your experiences, 314-974-0101. Callier and Thompson sponsor the phone lines. Air Comfort Service sponsor of the text inbox, 314-399-9646. Martin, you're fresh off a sportscast at Chairman Steve's apartment?
Live from the balcony. It all happened, Tim. It all happened. He's up there on the 22nd floor. First of all, when I was on the field, he was wanting to see if I was down there.
Megaphone?
Got the megaphone out, and I couldn't hear him. We discussed later. He usually does most of his... He told me not to call it harassing the players because he thought that didn't sound right.
No.
But he does most of his conversation with the players from afar when there's no music playing.
Yeah.
But we ended up there. It was great. And I didn't realize... because it's been a while since I've been somewhere really up high, that I'm a little scared of heights.
Oh, is that right?
So the whole time I was there, I had to hang on to something.
How high up is he in that building?
22nd floor.
Oh, gosh.
Great spot. He's on the corner. You can see the arch. You can see the field.
But if you were to fall over the railing, you could survive a fall from 22 floors.
Well, I wouldn't want to find out.
Ooh, I don't know on that.
And then he was whipping
kidding.
up. He was.
It'd be a pancake.
He was whipping up Manhattans, and I thought this could be a bad
Oh, yeah.
combination here. Just had a slight sip.
Did you have a little nip? Did you
just
have
a little
a nip?
Oh, you got to try it because he had his own recipe. The key is, he said, chilling the vermouth.
Oh.
But it was great because the game was so bad that it gave us a little sidebar, Doug. Take a look at this beautiful view up here.
Yeah.
It was great. Chance to
Can
hang
you
with
actually
your...
see the whole field from there?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's probably like dead
Parts of the
center. You
outfield
can't.
wall, yeah.
But I would think it's a fun place to have a coffee and look out. So, Chairman, Tim, I'm a little concerned this opens the door now. If I'm doing like a Billikens post game, do I have to go to Eric in the Central West End's balcony?
Jackson would love to join you.
That'd be a nice little niche
Wherever I go to people's homes,
to do the sportscast from home.
if they have an affinity towards a certain team,
Right.
it was great. Just a little something different. And Chairman Steve, we actually caught up a little bit. His history of listening to this show, but also he's lived there for 5 years. So he said we put him on the air as well. Recovering alcoholic texted me right away. You're at Chairman Steve's. And he said, hey, Three Sticks, I've only had one October since I moved in here. One playoff up there.
I think it would be interesting for you to start doing the 10 o'clock sports at random people's homes. And they can just be in the background, sitting on their recliner or something while you're doing the sports. You don't even have to mention them.
Well, it's either that or I debate Kevin Durant being a top 10 player. So I think I'm going to start doing sports from people's backyards.
Okay.
It's opening the door. The weather guy in Wausau, Wisconsin. He was Sean Cronin. And Tim, sometimes the weather guy, just a little portly, but he's just more friendly that way. And this guy...
He's more relatable when he lacks discipline.
Yeah. So he did backyard weather, and we would watch from our crappy little station in Rhinelander and say, where's Sean going to be? And it was called Backyard Weather. And they were always eating barbecue, doing the weather.
Isn't that hard to do?
He
Get on
tried.
your cheeks and everything, the barbecue sauce.
And the strangest thing is he was Kevin Cronin's brother, the lead singer of REO Speedwagon.
Oh, really?
This is a little bit of an odd fun fact. So, Tim, look for that. Maybe Tam Avenue will do
Tam
a little
Avenue Capital Partners.
in the backyard, kids playing wiffle ball. But thank you to Chairman Steve for hosting. It was great. The view was fun, and the game was terrible.
Evil Calvin on that says, third game of every series, the Cards don't show up. Marmol never goes for the jugular. Doug, that's
gosh.
Evil Calvin. And
That's a lousy take.
you want to fight Evil Calvin at
I don't want to
Steve's
fight him.
apartment?
It's just such a clueless take to say Marmol doesn't go. What's
Evil
he
Calvin,
supposed
you've
to
been
do?
called clueless.
He sent out the pitcher whose turn it was in the rotation. He didn't have it. That's on Marmol.
When did you know Fetty didn't have it? Was
First
the
pitch.
first pitch.
Wound up in the right field seats. First
And they
pitch.
just hammered him the rest of the way.
I was there again.
Oh,
Sat
Doug
through
was
it.
there.
Oh, were you really? You and Nick Vaughn?
Yeah. One night after maybe the best game of the year. This is right there with that horrible game in Boston.
Just
that they had.
a blah game.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything there.
Couldn't get anything going. Matthew Boyd's a tough pitcher with the Cubs because they didn't do much. And the Cubs made some outstanding defensive plays, too. They must have had 3 or 4 diving defensive
stops.
plays. Yeah.
It's one of those games, Doug, you just flush it.
Just wasn't going to be.
The lineup was put together by a St. Gabriel's kindergartner? Is that true? That's from Palante as a nerd?
I don't think so.
We had a great debate about who should play. What we didn't know is that Jordan Walker had appendicitis.
Yeah, that was tough to handicap.
So
But what about Derek Gould and the Garrett Hampson play the night before?
Yeah, he
was
that.
on that, saying that he would be in the starting lineup. So I don't know how, because the big factor, Martin, was Jordan Walker's appendicitis.
Yeah, and I don't know who knew what, but the idea that Garrett Hampson would be in the lineup sounded ridiculous because you got to get Walker in there at some point. So in the end, Newt Barr and Vic Scott were taken out, and then you got Hampson and Sajasi.
And they used Hampson in the traditional role. He played center field, shortstop, and pitcher.
Yes. And he had a 3-pitch ninth inning.
Yeah, tied a record.
I think I'd put him back out there today. Let's see what he's got.
It is interesting to see sometimes how easily they get guys out just by lobbing the ball in. They're just not ready for it, and they're not used to it, I guess.
Each pitch was in the 40-mile-per-hour range.
Mike, would you say an outstanding job from Luke today?
Outstanding job from Luke.
How about
Thank
that,
you,
Martin?
Mike. Got the soundbite I needed.
No one watched the game anyway. Season 4 of The Bear premiered last night. That's Nate in Tallahassee saying no one watched the game because Season 4 of The Bear premiered last night. And I feel like this would be right up Jackie Papers' alley. Jackie Papers, did you snuggle up with your loved ones and watch The Bear? Or were you watching the NBA draft? Oh, Cooper Flag and the emotions.
I did not watch The Bear last night. I'll get to it eventually.
Did you watch the draft?
I almost never watched the draft.
Are you taking basketball questions?
Sure.
Okay, why wasn't Rutgers better last year? They had two top 5 picks?
Yeah, sometimes that's just because you're made for you're better suited for NBA talent doesn't mean you're automatically going to be great in college. Jordan Clarkson's always my guiding light with that for local examples. Like he was good at Mizzou, don't get me wrong, but he was built to play in the NBA. He's 6'7", 6'8", with rangy and a great jumper. That's an NBA kind of.
He was
build.
rangy, Tim. Remember that?
I like that.
He was rangy. Mm-hmm. Although if I'm the athletic director at Rutgers and I walk by the basketball coach, I'm like, 2 top 5 picks. Under 500.
I bet Francesa could get going on that.
Oh, I love that. Hey, you might be right there with him.
Well, they draft him so young now. Sometimes, if you take a freshman with a top 5 pick, he might still not be one of the top college players.
For sure.
Cooper Flagg's only 18.
I know, yeah, he reclassified.
How many great players have come out of the state of Maine in basketball, Jackson?
Oof, I don't know.
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Chairman Kurt is active in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat in response to Evil Calvin, and he says Cardinals are 13-13 in the 3rd game of series. Doug, does that refute Evil Calvin's point?
It sort of does. They're 500 and they're 7 games over 500 for the year. A lot of that is coincidental. He didn't give that game away.
But the 3rd game is typically the series finale.
Yeah.
And they have been bad in the series finales overall.
Yeah.
But you win the series today, Doug. There you go.
Well, it's just getting another win. That's the big thing. Not necessarily the series, because that doesn't really count for anything in the long run. If we can just get this win, if we can just stay hot, we can get back in this baby.
Okay.
But they weren't in the baby last night. No, sir.
Did you stick around for all 9?
I did, of course.
Wow.
Of course.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Well, it was over at 9:15. Really
the pace
game.
picked up a little bit there once it was clear. Was it the 3rd inning? We all said, all right, it's over.
Yeah, got a day game tomorrow. Let's wrap this
Let's
one up,
shut her
boys.
down. And if somebody takes 3 pitches, the bench starts barking at their own guy. What are we doing out there? Let's go.
Was it rally chain night last night, Doug?
Yeah, Gruden was there throughout the first pitch wearing his rally chain.
Yeah.
You got your chain.
No, they weren't giving out chains that I
thought
saw.
it was a giveaway.
I didn't see anybody giving away chains.
Imagine living in an apartment you pay $3,000 a month for that's in a city that had 3 times more people living in it in 1904 than it does now. Cool place, Steve. That's from Wedding Tackle, and he just went after the chairman. Sweet mother of mercy. And a World's Fair reset?
Well, I would say if you're going to live anywhere in the city of St. Louis, that might be the best place. I don't know where I'd rather live in if I were to be in the city of St. Louis.
You ever been to St. Louis Hills and see the banners at St. Gabriel's?
I have.
Chairman Steve's moving to St. Louis Hills.
No further questions.
From One Cardinal Way.
He's getting out of there?
Yeah, they've got a bunch of grandkids.
Yeah.
It'll be easier for the grandkids. I know his whole life story now, Tim, as you can tell.
Yeah, I bet.
We'll take your calls.
So he used to be in Wildwood, wasn't he in Dogtown there for a while? This guy's moved like 10 times.
He's on the run?
He could be on the lam.
But if you're going to be downtown, you might as well be high above all the problems, Doug. Got a view of the arch, a view of the ballpark.
Yeah.
Game, again, I was ad-libbing, as they say. Sports guys tend to be the ones who just ad-lib all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to throw to an Eric Fetty post-game soundbite. And I don't know why it came off. I just felt bad later when I said, oh, yeah, what are you going to do? These games happen. And I said, here's Eric Fetty, who was atrocious. And then they rolled the tape, and I thought, if he were watching, which he wouldn't be, it seemed a bit harsh.
Yeah.
Although atrocious is probably accurate.
He's had a pretty good year, really.
Yeah, he's fine.
Last night was a complete blow-up, but he's been pretty solid for most of the
He even
year.
said, even when I got outs, they were hit pretty hard.
Yeah, he wasn't fooling anybody, that's for sure.
You're welcome to participate in this program, Doug. We offer myriad ways or myriad of ways.
I just don't.
Myriad of.
Thank you, Jackson.
Myriad of ways.
Call in 314-974-0101. Collier and Thompson phone lines. Chairman Kurt filters those calls. Does a wonderful job. Then you can text in, Air Comfort Service text inbox, 314-399-9646. Then you got that Michelob Ultra YouTube chat where 124 friends have gathered early this morning to talk it over at youtube.com/TMASTL, or just open up that YouTube app, type in TMASTL, and the next thing you know, you're in there and you're talking it over with fellow TMA listeners. And of course, you can email in for our Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email today, the morning after at InsideSTL.com. We have 3 more emails of the day in the month of June. Buck Swope and Marlins Family Barbecue are tied for the lead at 3, but Jerry Big Tank Del Vecchio is just 1 game back. So anybody can win this thing still. Email in the morning after at InsideSTL.com. Design Air is the sponsor of the email of the day. I've got good news that after today, it looks like these temperatures break. Because tomorrow, Doug, high of 87 after highs in the mid-90s throughout the course of the week, and nothing higher than temperatures in the 80s over the next 8 days.
Nice.
Per the Apple forecast, which
Okay.
we've expressed
Yeah, mid-80s, I can live with that.
Yeah.
What do you expect in late June?
Cardinals leaving town? Perfect.
Design Air, Heating and Cooling is online at designairservice.com. That's Seth Goldcamp, and that's his team at Design Air, Heating and Cooling. Martin is a client. Doug is a client. I am a client. We welcome you to become a client as well by going to designairservice.com if you're having any issues with your air conditioning. They are the longest running sponsor on TMA. No upselling. They fix it. They move on. It's Design Air, Heating and Cooling, sponsor of our email of the day, longest running sponsor on TMA. And we all personally endorse Design Air, Heating and Cooling online at designairservice.com. It's 7:14 in St. Louis. The program you're listening to is The Morning After. It is presented to you by Brown and Crouppen, and we've got some news on the Blues just posted a few moments ago that Blues fans are going to want to hear. We'll have that for you next. TMA 101 ESPN.
you up, we're on top. Oh yeah. Who's gonna get that cup again, baby? It's true. Rooftop shouting and the horns all blue. Oh, O'Reilly's ghost still tapping the glass. We got that spirit and we got that class.
O'Reilly's ghost? I feel like we missed a story. TMA, it's 101 ESPN. It's a program that can be viewed at youtube.com/TMASTL. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne. Little Jackie Papers is on the ones and twos playing a beat. And who produced that song, Jackson?
I think that was Rogers and Hammertoe.
Rogers and Hammertoe?
Could have been a different listener.
You can talk it over with Chairman Kurt and see if you can get on the air. The Fortress is pretty strong to get on the air on this show. Collier and Thompson sponsor the phone lines, 314-974-0101. Doug, this story just posted, and I'm texting with the non-ling about it. Per the Hockey News, the Islanders and Blues are each testing the market on key pieces of their core. The Blues have, quote, poked around. I don't know if you like that term or not.
Just poking at the seams, I guess.
Poked around about Noah Dobson. We talked about Noah Dobson yesterday. He is the 25-year-old defenseman who is a pending restricted free agent with arbitration rights. And general manager Doug Armstrong is quietly seeing what the market is for 27-year-old Jordan Kyrou, who is entering the third year of an 8-year deal worth $8.125 million. So the Blues and Islanders, at the very least, poking around regarding the possibility of a deal.
I know you followed Noah Dobson's career extremely closely.
Yeah.
You think that'd be an even trade? Just head up, 1-for-1?
Jackson?
Jackson, you're the hockey guy.
Yeah, well, this thing about Dobson, he skates. Boy, does he skate.
Yeah, he does.
Grit, sandpaper.
So you have been following him.
Numerous feet in his game.
200, hopefully.
Upwards of 200, no less than 150.
Yeah.
This guy plays, and he plays hard. Great in the room, great outside of the room. Yes.
Yes. There's got to be something to it when it starts to leak out multiple places. This happens.
Agents, I think, Martin. Agents.
And I don't know that either agent here would be trying to make it happen, but they're letting it be known. I think Doug Waite, that was talked about for like a month before they actually traded for him and landed him. So a lot of times, I think there's a little something there, whether it happens or not. And we touched on it yesterday. You guys had JR in. I think the Alexander Steen role here is key because he's going to be the GM moving forward. And if he wants Kyrou long term, great. If he doesn't think he's the best fit, then maybe if you're going to make a move, now's the time.
This is it.
This is the
draft tomorrow, Martin.
If you have that vibe that you say maybe we could try something different there, this would be the time to do it before the no trade kicks in. So this is going to be it's going to be fun to watch. I like to say, Doug. And
so,
then
Doug, would this be a hockey trade? That's from Just Don't Press
Just be a
Push.
trade. You wouldn't need to say hockey because it's obviously a hockey trade.
Why do you hate Strickland?
I don't hate Strickland. I don't like it when he says it's a hockey trade.
He likes to say hockey trade.
It's like a golfer. Boy, that was a good golf shot. Well, of course it was a golf shot. Stop saying that.
He's a stick, huh?
How about that? There's Walter.
That was a little bit different.
Dobson is good and needs a new contract, but moving Kyrou is stupid. Creates a massive hole in the offense. 35 goal scorers don't come around often. That's from Nutsack Jim.
Oh, watch out. Here comes Nutsack Jim. Well, that's true what he says. It's hard to find those guys. You'd have to get a quality player in return, not just a little something, but a big-time piece in return. You'd have to. And if they think that their bigger weakness is on the defense, where guys are getting old, then it might be something they just have to do. Watch out. Here comes Suckboy Tony.
There he is. He's dangerous out there, Martin. Dump Kyrou and get Dobson. It's a no-brainer in my opinion. But then again, what do I know? Quit poking around, Army, and pull the trigger. That's from 314.
He's got to poke a little bit. Well,
I saw Jackson hitting on a toothless waitress at the Wentzville Waffle House last night. That's from Doug Glatt. Jackson,
really?
Were you in Wentzville last night at the Waffle House?
I was not. I like Waffle House,
How often do you go there?
Ooh, it's been some years. Probably in Columbia. They had a nice one on Providence Road in
Do you
Columbia.
get the waffles?
I'm not a waffle guy.
Me neither. Waffle. No.
I also don't really order pancakes ever.
Not a pancake guy, because I thought when you said not a waffle guy, then you'd go pancake.
No, I mean, I like pancakes, but like when I'm going out to breakfast, I want eggs. You know, I want an omelet or something. If I were to get something sweet, it would be French toast. Big French toast guy.
Oh, really?
What a treat it is.
Oh, it's so good.
Like that powdered sugar?
Oh, powdered sugar, Martin. The texture is so rewarding. Oh, Bill, give me some French toast.
But no, I was not.
Now people will drop off French toast. Tim just asked for French toast, Doug. Here they come. They're already in the parking lot.
I was not in Wentzville last night, hitting on anyone, toothless or otherwise. So that is it's a false statement.
But you would hit on someone even if they were toothless.
I don't know. I think that might be you gotta need some teeth.
Deal breaker?
Yeah, you probably need teeth.
Which part did you want to be most clear on? That you were not in Wentzville? That you were not hitting on somebody? Or that you were not hitting on somebody toothless?
This guy's a man in love, Martin.
Yeah, I know.
He calls
Man in
himself
love.
Marty Monogamy.
Marty Monogamy, so certainly the latter two I'd like to refocus, but I also was not in Wentzville.
You weren't.
No.
But you're welcome. in
And
Wentzville.
but that I have no problem with. You know, I'll go Wentzville whenever.
Sure.
Sure.
It's a thriving area.
Just no adoptions from Prince Edward Island.
Probably never been to Wentzville.
Probably eats a lot of mussels.
Sharon in Clayton sounds like she is happy to see Jordan Kyrou go. Should it happen? I agree with the 314 later, crybaby. I'll help you pack.
Oh.
Wow. Star of the Real Housewives of TMA.
Well,
Not a
Yes, we're the Real Housewives of TMA.
he was awfully good this year, Kyrou. Clearly his best year ever, I think.
It would be a gamble, but it would also tell you that they think, playoff-wise, that they want to change their DNA a little bit. And you probably have more depth on the forward side, younger players coming up than you do defensively. But it's a risk. Trade away a guy who's a proven goal scorer.
Yeah.
It does seem to be a divisive topic, doesn't it? I mean, there are people who are really dug in on get him out of here. And then the people that say keep him are incredulous that you would trade him.
Remember when the Blues traded Shanahan for Pronger, and there was the great debate: do you want the goal scorer or do you want the, franchise defenseman?
And he took a lot of hell.
Yeah, he did, and he was really young at the time too, so he wasn't as good as he would develop into. But he became obviously a Hall of Famer, one of the best ever to play the position. But at the time, it wasn't a real popular trade because people are afraid to give up all those goals that Shanahan was scoring.
One thing I would say about Armstrong, he doesn't operate from a place of being scared.
No.
No. They'll make the move if they think it makes them better. Yesterday, I think I said 25% that he gets traded.
Are you moving it? Has the
You were at
forecast changed?
33-ish kind of yesterday. I think I'm going to move it up a little bit.
Wow.
33.5 today.
I'll say 50% chance
Wow,
that it
50.
happens. Usually when there's smoke like this, there is some fire.
A lot of smoke.
And, it just seems like Armstrong would probably prefer to have the harder-nosed guy that, a little bit more of a grinder. Although this Dobson's much more than just a grinder. He's a really good player.
And Army's did a great job. The one thing I never quite understood about the timeline is when they would say, well, we got all this talent coming. We're retooling, and we're going to have Snuggerud, and you're going to get Dvorsky, and these guys are all young. The timing, to me, that didn't work is at the moment those guys are ready to be established stars, Schen's done, Parayko's done, Bennington's done, and those are some of your core guys. So maybe it's kind of like the Cardinal runway. Maybe if I'm Armstrong, I'm looking at even like this year and next, maybe we're at a moment here where we should try and go for it. Instead of you wait, hey, we're still a couple of years away. Okay, well then some pretty talented guys are just about done. So I don't know if they're reframing in their own mind where they are as a franchise, but
Do we have to keep saying runway?
If you're talking about the Cardinals, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Falk is now 33, Parayko 32, Fowler 33. So the defense is it's getting up there.
Parayko's still good. Fowler's still good. Falk's had some struggles.
Broberg, if they can hang on, he's only 24. Tucker's 25.
Yeah.
But it would really be nice to add a cornerstone piece on the rear guard. I call it the rear guard.
Change is hard. Change is difficult, but the majority of the time, the opposite side of change is a golden goose.
Words to live by.
The opposite of change.
Yeah, it's the golden goose.
Okay. And that one worked out.
I guess it.
314-399-9646. That's how you can text into the program. Doug, do you think Bennington will retire a blue? That's from Car Wash Dave.
Well, if I had to guess, I'd say yes. Although there's a lot of guys who spend the last year or two in their career kicking around trying to get another year somewhere.
Because Hofer probably takes his job in 2 years, maybe. Yeah. How old's Bennington?
31.
About 31.
He's only 31, so he may have 4 or 5 more years left as a Blues tender.
I'm going to say no. And as hard as it is when you see like a David Backus go somewhere else, I'm going to guess Bennington does not finish his career.
Yeah, probably not. I think he's good enough that teams will continue to give him a chance even after he's a little bit past his prime. Hoping to catch lightning in a bottle there.
What was your toughest Blues exit to see them leave? Was it Shanny?
Brett Hull, probably.
Brett Hull, summer of '98.
Bernie Federko.
The Pronger moment wasn't exactly delightful.
The Eric Brewer trade. And then they decided to double down on what was an incredibly unpopular move. And then the new guy comes in. Let's give him the C. Well, that was bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Another tough one for me was Brad Boyce because I had bought a jersey for my son like a day before.
Oh, brutal.
Did you try to take it back?
And he'd worn it and everything. Yeah. And he got traded like a day later. So for me, that might be it, the Brad Boyce deal. Yeah.
It's all based on sweaters.
I paid a personal price for that one.
Ian LaPerriere says, zip it, Karen, and all the Cairo haters. $8 million per year will be a bargain for a 35-goal scorer. People way smarter than any of us feel that way. With that said, I do trust whatever Armstrong does. That's from Lappy, Doug, in the text inbox.
He was an agitator, pretty good player for the Blues. I'm surprised he would be texting us now, but he knows puck. It's a really tough thing to decide, I'm sure, for anybody in that position. Do you stick with the youngish goal scorer right in his prime, or do you go for an even younger defenseman when that's probably the greater need on the team? It's a tough call.
Pretty much every move made during the Keenan era. Just pick one. What an ass. It's from Sharon and Clayton.
True. And there was another guy that liked change, and it wasn't necessarily the golden goose at all.
You can give your ideas on it at 314-399-9646. That's how you can text into the program. Call in 314-974-0101. The program's called The Morning After, and it's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA YouTube channel.
Hey, this is Jackson with the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals lose last night to the Cubs. They try to win the series today with a 1:15 first pitch with Andre Palante taking the mound for the Cardinals. That was another Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Little Jackie Papers on the ones and twos, Doug. Music theme?
As a DJ, he's just a little champion.
Thanks, Doug. It's Ariana Grande's birthday.
And she is 30, I'm going to say 33, might be 34.
I'm concerned that she stopped eating.
33, 34, Jackson?
She is 32 today.
Ah!
Yeah, really young. I mean, we've had Ariana Grande in our culture now for like 10 years.
Extremely talented.
Yeah.
Did you see that Saturday Night Live episode where she sang as all the other singers?
Oh, yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I had a friend who I went to Florida Gulf Coast with who was in high school with her.
Oh, yeah?
That just goes to show.
Did he go to prom with her?
He did not. Said she was really nice, though.
Can you get her on for us? Surprise you
Shoot him
guys.
a text. I haven't spoken to the gentleman in going on almost 8 years now.
You just thought of him right now.
I just always knew that. So I was like, wow, she is really quite young.
Yeah.
I'm going to college with a guy who went to high school with her.
Seems like she's been around a while. I guess she had because she was in those Disney shows too. And
right.
Get this crap off my radio. That's from the Warren County Wizard, who is not an Ariana Grande fan.
I figured that wouldn't be the most popular one I could play. But, yeah, I like Ariana Grande, especially that song. She talks about the late Mac Miller.
Just keep resending that text for the next 4 hours. It still applies.
It is TMA, and it's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen, 101 ESPN, 7 o'clock hour. You can watch the program and talk it over with other TMA listeners at youtube.com/TMASTL. Cardinals losing last night in a nondescript game in which Doug was in attendance until the final out because he believed a comeback was possible, and Martin was doing his sportscast from Chairman Stephen Wildwood's balcony at Cardinal Way, Ballpark Village apartment building.
the guy about 2 seats away from me, Ian Happ hits the first pitch for a home run. And the guy 2 seats away says, all right, get him out of there. Get the pitcher out of there. You don't give up a home run on the first pitch. And I thought, boy, that guy doesn't know baseball. And then as they continue to pound on Fetty, I thought that would have been the right call. Get him out after one pitch.
Move. What if they did take him out after one pitch? And
he wanted him out.
Didn't like what he saw.
Some things that we didn't like out there.
Sonny Gray is not pitching today. Palante is. Surprised by that? I mean, I know it's been in the works here for a handful of days, but you would have thought that Gray would get the ball against the Cubs.
Yeah,
because they moved him out of that Sox series so that he would purposely face the Reds. Now you get a chance to pitch him twice.
He may have just told him that he could use another day, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like there was once earlier this season a doubleheader in which Sonny was supposed to pitch the day game.
And
it's
a day-night thing
Does he not enjoy day starts?
He might not.
Doug, do you have Sonny Gray's day splits in front of you?
I don't.
I remember looking it up, and it was
heat.
There is
not much different. It was not much different, if I remember
It might
correctly.
be his preference.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going against a team directly ahead of you, you're playing for first place in the division, you need your stopper to be out there if he can go. If it's a health issue, that's something different.
Sonny Gray's 3-0 during the day, 3.19 ERA at night, 4-2, but the ERA is 4.42. I say get him out there. Call him right now. Let's go. Put that ball down that you're carrying around and get ready to pitch. Did he pitch last Friday, Tim? Was it Friday that he pitched or Saturday? But he certainly would be eligible to pitch. They've got it all mapped out because Fetty even said last night, well, I got to figure it out because I'm facing these guys again in 10 days, meaning the Cubs.
Evil Calvin is back. Doug, you didn't like his take early in the 7 o'clock hour about the Cardinals and Ali Marmol never going for the jugular. And he says the reason Gray's not pitching is because Marmol doesn't go for the jugular.
Like Marmol's fine with him losing today? Really?
MD 2020 says Gray probably saw the forecast and said, no, thank you.
He does sweat a lot. But, I mean, all guys, it's hot.
I think he's probably a little tougher than we give him credit for.
Oh, I think he's very tough.
Yeah. I imagine he's
Not as tough as us.
no. We're street fighters.
Ariana Grande is talented, sure, but she's very stuck up. That's from Sketch. Alex.
Elaborate on that.
Alex, you can call in. Chairman Kurt will move you to the front of the line, 314-974-0101.
Yeah, I think that sometimes you got to show your work.
Show your work.
You know, math problem in college, you can't just write the answer. You got to show your work.
Do you?
Jackson, with all due respect, everyone knows somebody who's famous. Banks, that's from Steven Time.
Yeah, no doubt. No argument for me on that one. But in this case, we were talking about Ariana Grande.
Sure we
and
were.
to display that she is young, I am 27, and I went to college with a guy who went to high school with her. That was the reasoning for my attack. So please continue to be upset.
Sort of the message to everyone out there. Please continue to be upset.
Well, yeah, when you live like that, it's probably tough.
So he's really not your friend. You haven't talked to him in 8 years. You don't know Ariana. You sound like Iggy. That's from Wedding Tackle.
Did not claim to know Ariana Grande in the slightest. I do know this person. But yeah, I haven't spoken to him in a while. So yeah, that's fair, I guess.
But you're claiming this very close association with her.
Right. That's what I think people are hearing. But what I'm saying is actually the opposite of that.
So you never really did date her?
Never. No. Okay. Nor did I ever claim to.
All right.
Are we listening to 2 different shows? I swear, sometimes that's the case. Maybe my ears are broken and I'm hearing stuff out of my own mouth.
Everybody ever had a broken ear?
I actually know someone who worked on a set with her, and she made them get her multiple grande lattes just because her last name is Grande. And that's a true story. Doug, that's from Mr. Licks, who...
Oh, airball.
Airball.
Did you refuse to get her a grande, and that's why she stopped dating you?
No, but I'll get coffee for anybody.
Would you?
I love going on a coffee run or a donut run.
Yeah.
It's great.
Leave it to the Mizzou guys, not to mention the Illini guys going back-to-back in the NBA draft last night. That's from the 618.
KJ.
And Will Riley, back to back.
Yeah.
Good on them. Brad Underwood runs a great program in Champaign. I got nothing but respect. Every year in December, I hope they lose to the Tigers, but outside of that, I hope they do great.
And he was a delight when he was on the program.
Yeah, he was.
3 first-round picks the last 2 years for ILL.
Yeah.
Jackson, show your work. You're a dummy. Look at her now. She's vapid. That's from Doug's concubine.
Vapid.
Okay, so we're using a lot of things to describe her, but I'm not getting any reasoning to why you think that.
Doug, who would have thought that at 7:45... Maybe it's City's lost to Orlando last night, but people are unhappy about this Ariana Grande situation.
It was her birthday. I look up music birthdays every day. I say, oh, I like Ariana Grande. I'll play a song.
But you said you had dated her for years, if I heard it right.
No, see, that's what some people are misconstruing about what I was saying. I was not saying that at all.
All right.
Good Lord, misconstrue words much? Take a listing comprehensive class, dork. Do you, Piddles? That's from Sharon and Clayton. And you guys are starting to form a little alliance.
Like
see, that's what I like about Sharon Clayton is she's moment by moment. You know, she's not someone who's dug in. She's like,
she's an independent.
Yes, every situation, you don't know what her thoughts are going to be on it. You might have an idea, but you don't know. And so I like how she's moment by moment. You know, she's not just dug in on one side or another.
And I was offended by the guy who texted and said, hey, Sharon, less yappy yappy, more washy closey. I thought that was way out of line.
So you shared it?
My best friend from grammar school knew the guy who delivered mail to Don Rickles. That's from Dale, and he's in Glenville.
That's cool. Don
That's
Rickles.
cool.
That's about as good as it gets right there. That's cool. Bump-ins with celebrities are always welcome on this program.
And we don't get that many of them in St.
Somebody
Louis.
said they saw Cairo at the Cracker Barrel in Imperial yesterday. He told them I'm getting traded, so I'm going with it.
That's a reliable source.
Live from Steve's balcony.
I'm going to go live from the Cracker Barrel in Imperial saying, we have word that Jordan Cairo is being traded.
Jake in St. Genevieve is now out on you, Jackson, in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat. I loved Jackson until now. How can you like Sharon and Clayton? Gross.
No.
I've never met Sharon Clayton, but I like that.
She's among our best listeners.
Star of the Real Housewives of TMA.
Yeah, I like her mindset that, you know, I'll give my opinion based on the situation, not, you know, before I hear it.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, she'll agree with you. She'll disagree with you.
Right.
She might have my back. She might be mad at me.
Right. Right. But it just depends on the situation. I like that.
Doug, they're unhappy here in St. Louis this morning. I don't know if it's because City's lost, because of the Cardinals' loss, or because of Jackson trying to act like he's friends with Ariana Grande. I can't tell what source of it is, but they're not as unhappy here as they are in New York with the Mets, who have recently been playing some bad ball. They're taking calls in New York, and they are not happy with the Mets. Martin, take a listen if you would.
This team has no balls. They never did. As soon as they see the Braves, they wet the bed. They're scared of them. I can't stand this team. This team does not belong in New York. These guys do not belong in New York. I understand they're hurting, their injuries, their pitching staff. But you know what? Then you got to bang it out. You got to hit. You got to hit. You had opportunities for the last couple of nights, not to mention the first game in Atlanta that you gave it away. All right? So I don't want to hear about the pitching staff, How about these hitters? How about Lindor again?
This is
He
Tony
started off
Soprano.
great. Where's Big Pete? Where's Big Pete? Where's Soto? Okay? I want to see these guys. I can't stand this team. They got no balls. Okay? I want teams with balls. I want guys with balls. They see the Braves and they run away. They say, how long is this going on for?
Louis, I'm glad you said it because I don't want to hear any crap from
guys with balls.
Yeah, I'm glad he said it. I don't want to hear any crap from the Mets or SNY or anything like that. But
he's right on point. That's a good call right there.
Bless America.
Oh, man, that's as good as Jackson's sounder to end a whole clip. Clip that part off and just use it all. That's a good call right there.
It's a team that's been in first place almost the entire season.
They're 13
they hit a rough
games
patch
over.
here.
They're 13 over 500. It did sound like a casting call for the Sopranos, like an outtake when they're bringing guys in.
And this guy would have made it. I just said, Carmine, you go to the front of the list.
He's right on point. That's a good call right there.
Can't disagree.
Can't disagree.
Bless it. It's hard to believe this is the same country that we all live in.
Martin, that's what Arbor Day is wondering. How do people in New York talk that way? It's amazing. They get the same TV, et cetera, that we do. How do they hear that and keep talking like the world is a bowling alley? Is that what that is? The world's a bowling alley?
Everybody's a tough guy. Everybody's going to break your leg.
How about these hitters?
Hitters.
Yes.
That can't be real.
It's got to be a joke, right?
He's got to be hamming up the accent.
An actor. It has to be an actor.
I watched the video of the call. I think it was on SNY, and the two hosts were like dug in and really listening. I do not believe that was sketches and bits. If I thought it was sketches and bits, I would not have sent it over to little Jackie Papers.
I don't think it was sketches. I think he might be hamming up his own accent. I think that might be his take, but maybe not. I don't know. I think that's egregious to sound like that over the phone.
I think that's who he is, because to be that mad about a Mets team with 13 games over, you have to sound like that. You have to.
How about these hitters?
These hitters.
They lost. They went on a stretch where they lost 9 out of 10, and some of them badly. Gave up a lot of runs.
Soto went yard twice last night in their win over the Braves.
What happens when they do win or get to the World Series? Does
they're expected to.
Does he call back in?
No.
With Met fans especially, it's going to be like a dog finally catching the car. Like, they won't know what to do when they finally win. Knicks fans, same way. Like, when you've been in a struggle for this long to get a championship, I don't know if it'll actually satisfy them.
He hates this team. So what happens when they win?
I can't stand this team. They got no balls.
Don't deserve to be in New York. Oh, man.
Doug, they're half game back of the Phillies and just 3 games back of the Dodgers for the best record in the National League.
Yeah. Most teams would love to be 47-34 like the Mets are.
In fairness to my guy, when they did start playing the teams in the NL East, and then they also had 3 with the Rays, that's when they started to get worked. And I think he was saying that when they have to play the better teams, and by the better teams in the NL East, I'm not talking about the Marlins or Nationals, and then the Rays, then they got worked over. So they have lost 8 of their last 10 and a half game back of the Phillies. Cardinals now 3.5 back of the Cubs, a game back of the Brewers, who won last night, and they're 2 games up on the Reds. The Pirates have been relegated to play in the Pacific Coast League, so you will not have to worry about them as they continue their stretch of 3 decades of competitive baseball. You can text in 314-399-9646. That's how you can get involved, by texting into the program. And then you got the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat at youtube.com/TMASTL. Michelob Ultra is the sponsor of our YouTube chat here on TMA. And Michelob Ultra has 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbohydrates. If you are out and about, nothing better than enjoying some time with some friends and a Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. It's Michelob Ultra. They sponsored the Dotem. We'll have another TMA golf tournament coming up later in the year, and we are grateful for Michelob Ultra's support. Michelob Ultra, 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbohydrates. It's Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Go into that YouTube chat and talk it over with other TMA listeners. Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. Chairman Kurt answering the phones, Callier and Thompson phone lines. And Ali Marmol said following the game about Eric Fetty's performance that they are moving on. That's the best way to describe what he saw last night, Doug. They're going to move on.
Yeah.
No, not with Sonny Gray, but with Andre Palante. Here is Ali Marmol following the loss.
I mean, just got hit. A lot of pitches over the heart of the plate. Even ones that weren't over the heart got hit. So, I mean, hopefully we can just sum it up with wasn't his night. They took some really good swings. Their approach was good against them. Just an overall tough night. I mean, when you look at Fetty, he doesn't punch people out. It's been a lot of kind of miss hits off the barrel, just missing kind of fly balls that get caught at people. So, yeah, they squared him up today. You look at that game, you just got to move on to the next one. We feel good about where we're at physically, mentally. We're in a good spot, so that one sucked. Move on. Try to take the series tomorrow.
There's a base hit.
That's a nice knock. That was good contact.
Try to take the series.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
Try to take the series.
That's all you can do.
No, not take the series, but just move on.
That's kind of what you alluded to.
I can have Jackson play the audio back.
Right.
Well, what I meant to say was the series doesn't really matter. Okay. You just want as many wins as you can get. But with Fetty, it was so bad that there's not really much of a point to try to analyze it. He just was off completely with everything he tried to do. None of it worked, so get better for next time out.
Ollie, would you say that affects Fetty's trade values? You trying to unload some guys and have more runway for others, maybe like McGreevy? Yes. Boy, that was a bad game. Just a bad game.
Yeah.
God bless Doug for sticking. There were a lot of people that stuck around, but I think they were Cubs fans who were just kind of lingering around. But even
How many of those are Chicagoans, you think, Martin?
I think you're more of
You
like
like
a
Yeah, good question.
I think it's more of a Decatur vehicle, like Springfield-ish Cub fans that had those tickets that came down.
My section, I was behind the third base dugout there, lower level, of course.
Plus.
And it was at least 50% Cub fans.
A lot of
Right
Chicago.
around me.
You notice that they're heavier or lighter than
Wow.
They fit in well with us.
really
Similar ilk.
Italian beef catches up with you.
Those left
That's a
field
bear reference?
Yeah, that too.
catches up to you, the Italian beef.
Yeah.
Left field bleachers pretty full, and then you look to the right, and it's just scorching sun, a little lean, and it reminded me of the old days. The old Busch, remember, left field sucks, right field sucks.
Yeah.
That was a big thing during the game. You'd get the chant going, some Hoosier, of course, in the front row, kind of get everybody. Instead of the wave, Jackson, we used to do the chants back and forth.
Does that go on at this ballpark?
I don't think
recall
so.
it now that you bring that up.
Well, last night there was a lot of time to just kind of ponder life and anything but the game. So I was just looking around. I actually walked around the press box a lot. I sent Jimmy Ballgame a picture of his catch. I said, forever immortalized here in the press box. They've got Jim laying out, making the catch. And he wrote me back at 5 a.m., just said, sorry, in Greece. And I think he meant, sorry I didn't respond sooner. Or maybe he was just like, buzz off.
Yeah, probably.
But a lot of downtime, and I just looked at the bleachers, and I missed that. Left field sucks. It would be just fully throated. I think they were a little closer together.
Don't say full-throated.
I think that was perfect use of full-throated.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry. Jeez.
What is with the Cardinals on Apple Plus again on Friday and Roku on Sunday? No wonder they're losing fans. That's evil Calvin.
I much prefer the
Roku.
the Chip and Brad for my broadcast, but I do love the Apple TV broadcast of Major League Baseball. It looks outstanding.
The production.
It looks so good. To me, it's a clearer picture. It looks really awesome. And it's really, I mean, if you have Apple TV, it's really easy to get it on your television, like 2 clicks.
So is Roku.
Yeah, if you have the proper channels, then yes, it's
Apple
quite simple.
TV, you don't need a subscription? You do.
I don't
You
believe
don't?
so.
No, you do need a subscription.
I don't think you need Apple TV Plus subscription.
What, don't you need Apple TV?
Yeah, but that's free to download. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think you have to pay extra to watch Cardinal games.
KG is Apple TV free.
I think you can get the app for free, but to, like Jackson was saying, Apple TV Plus to watch the Ted Lasso and things of that ilk, there is a subscription fee.
I don't know. Now it's saying
I don't
Friday
think
Night Baseball
there's
and
no
Apple
way a
TV
stream
Plus.
would be. It is unplugged. Okay.
Maybe you do.
So we won't get to see that.
So in other words,
Well,
Apple
if you
TV.
have Apple TV.
But I'm not paying extra. I already pay.
All right, well, that's your commitment to the ball club, I guess.
Wow.
I was
this guy
committed.
was there 9 innings last night, Pappas.
Yeah, but he won't. The buck stops at Apple TV Plus.
The buck stopped at my Spectrum account. I paid for it. I don't want it farmed off. What's the point? They're not going to get new viewers by being on some fancier platform.
They're just getting a couple extra checks. Hey, we already sold the broadcast rights to ESPN and Fox and all of our partners, TNT. But let's Roku. You want a slice?
The most
Apple. You want a slice?
The most absurd thing they ever did was put it on Facebook a few years ago. Remember that? Saying we're trying to reach younger people. Are you kidding me?
But then they did YouTube, and I would say that was shrewd. That was
And I
smart.
don't know if Facebook necessarily reaches younger people.
No.
Attendance last night. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And you think there are some people that have never heard of baseball before? Oh my God! I was scrolling Facebook and there's this new game on. I just love it. Come on.
Attendance last night 30,399 for the festivities at Busch Stadium.
It was decent for a hot night. I would say a decent amount of people. Again, a lot of Cub fans.
But they're probably
Today's going to be a little rough.
Yeah, they're probably not traveling as much as they would if this was a weekend series, obviously.
Yeah, but summertime.
Yeah.
Shut her down. 217, call in.
Would you consider that a vacation if you lived in Chicago and went to St. Louis for 4 days to watch the Cards Cubs?
The thing is, so many people work remote now that if you're like working all day and then you go to the Cardinal games at night, you're like staying in an Airbnb in the city or something. I don't even know if you would call that vacation. It's just like modern living.
Modern living.
If you're working remote, like if you're taking PTO for a week, yeah, that's a vacation.
Yeah.
But if you're still working during the day, I don't think so. The real question is, what is the more walrus food? Toasted raviolis or the Italian beef sandwich?
I'd say Italian beef sandwich.
A lot more bread, maybe.
And they dip the whole thing in gravy.
Oh, gravy. How do you do? How
Got
do
to
you
have that
do?
peppercini in there.
Yeah.
Read it to the garden.
I've been to Chicago for a series, and that was fun because there's lots to do in Chicago.
Certainly.
So you're saying Chicago's better than St. Louis?
I'd say it's bigger.
Bigger.
It's a lot bigger. But I don't know what keeps people interested from out of town here for 2 or 3 days. I mean, how many times can you go to the zoo?
Arch.
Hey, we're better than Chicago.
Okay, Joe.
Six Flags. Have you ever ridden the Boss?
I think a lot of these people come down and go to a game, maybe spend the night. I don't think they go to all 4. If I had to.
I bet there were more people at the City game than the Cardinal game. That's from the Prostatist.
I don't think so. I don't think there were 30 there, but I think there were over 20.
What is a prostitute?
Prostatist, you'll have to call in. And
What is that?
And the guy who's mad at Jackson for playing Ariana Grande says he's calling in, but you're not answering.
I saw some text about that people said nobody's answering.
It'd be the first time a texter lied. Prosthetist is a healthcare professional who designs, fabricates, and fits artificial limbs for individuals who have experienced
There you
limb
go.
loss
Thought that made
or
sense.
limb differences.
We have a Ferris wheel, Doug. That's from Philip Seymour Doffman.
Pricey, too.
How much of your day does that eat up?
Upwards of 15 minutes.
Well, hopefully there's a line. That'll chew a little clock.
Hopefully there's a line.
Why do you hate the City Museum and back injuries, Doug? That's from Doug's prison wallet.
Well, I do hate back injuries because I've had one. It hurts.
Have you ever tried to explain the City Museum to someone not from St. Louis? It's very
Can't say
confusing.
that I have.
It's like an indoor playground, art museum kind of structure, sculpture thing.
You used to have a bar next to it. It was like a little cottage.
I heard weddings there are pretty fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to check that out. Someone get married there and invite me.
Now, Tim, it says, what's wrong with your phone lines? I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Are the lines... Doug, clear the lines.
All right, clear the lines. Everyone on there now, just back off.
There's nothing wrong with the phone lines. Somebody is currently on hold, so they're working.
I'm sorry, Chairman Kurt. I apologize.
I was about to call in.
Must have forgot to hit send to you.
What do we have?
Pestis from Festus.
So they are down.
I'm going to call. I think I'm ahead in the hand. I'll be honest with you. I have King Jack. I think I'm ahead in the hand. I think he's bluffing. I don't think he forgot to send. But Doug, here is Pestis from Festus. You want to hear from him?
Sure.
Good morning, gentlemen. How you doing?
Oh, we're fine. How are you, Pestis?
I'm doing good. Jackson, welcome back. I haven't talked to you since then.
Hey, what's up? P from F?
Oh, nothing. Your little thing on Apple TV on Friday nights, it sucks.
Oh, I agree. You can't get it either, can you?
Just started to like a Mets call.
I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. And the other one that it's on Sunday, which one is that?
Roku.
That's even worse.
Well, don't you just listen on the radio, though?
I listen to my TV because I like the broadcast on TV better than I do on the radio.
Oh, okay.
So I listen to it there.
Yeah. All right.
Now, okay. I have one question, and this is very important because I know you people have asked me to send in emails of the day. What is the email address?
No problem, Pestis. It's the morning after at InsideSTL.com.
That'll work for me.
All right. Okay. I feel like we've covered this before with you. Have you not emailed into the show?
No, let me explain.
Okay, no, calm down.
I wrote it down. Somewhere.
Yeah.
And on Monday, I had a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
And when I was going to the doctor's appointment, something got brushed off the table next to me.
Oh, no.
And it went into the trash, and I didn't have it to give it to the little wife.
Okay. Well, feel free to ask as often as you need to. That's what
I
it
want
is.
team with balls. I want guys with balls. They see the Braves and they run away.
That was a previous caller.
Speaking of that, the Juan Soto deal yesterday. Does anybody know that he broke 2 records yesterday?
What records did he break?
One for most 2-run homers or multi-game homers, I think, for a New York Met.
Yeah, before turning 27. That was the record he broke.
Yes, before turning 27. And also most base on balls. Before something. I don't know what that one was.
Okay. All right. Did not know that, but we know it now.
What do we know?
Yep, that's what it is.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Now, once again on the email of the day, and then I'm off of here.
All right.
Okay. Are you asking for the address again?
Yes, because I'm trying to write it down.
Tim, he is asking for the email again for email of the day. This is going
the morning after at InsideSTL.com. I have to tell you that there's an investigation here wondering how if you're blind, you're writing it down, and then it would be necessary to find the piece of paper if you have trouble seeing. It's an accusation, and it sounds like an investigation is being led here by a gentleman known as Choke Artist 1.6. Doug, I think that might be a reference to an unfortunate evening in Winnipeg. What would your response be to Choke Artist 1.6, Pestis?
He can choke on his own whatever.
Oh, God, got him.
Gosh.
How will I explain that to my kids?
You won't be able to. Just let
You
it go.
don't have to.
Yeah.
I am blind. I can write things down. I may not be able to see everything after it's written down, but my wife can pick up the paper, read what she has to read to send the email, and it gets done from there.
Okay. Well, that works.
But choke artist, choke on whatever.
Doug, how about that? Choke Artist 1.6, a message, another war here amongst the listeners. It's unfortunate to see yet another one brewing. Pestis, we'll look forward to your email today for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email today.
All right. Thank you very much.
There he is. That is Pestis from Festus Doug, and he and Choke Artist 1.6 sideways now over the accusations that he is not really blind.
Well, he can choke on whatever.
I wish they could all just get along.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah. But we can't. We have our differences.
Chairman 3830 is probably filtering out Pestis' emails like the fascist that he is. That's from the 314. Chairman, that's a serious charge.
You're right, it is. I'm only a 36.
I was going to say, why did you give your measurements?
Oh, yeah, I didn't know what 3830 meant. Okay, so that's a reference to your
pant
size.
Pant size.
38. So
that's probably hard
30?
to find, isn't it? It's hard to find 3830.
No, I think there's been a shift in the BMI of Americans where they've kind of adapted to what we need, but trending upward, unfortunately.
A lot of elastic in pants now, too. You can turn that 30. It's like opening the club face on a 56. You can turn that to a 60 pretty easily.
Nice.
One size fits all slacks.
And actually, I'd prefer a 36-28 so I can have my ankles out.
You ever wear a Sansa belt, guy?
I don't know what that means.
That was a big
honest.
Jay Randolph Sr.
Sans means without, so you'd have without a belt.
Without belt.
Pants fit without belts.
Is that really? I thought that was whenever you said that. This is going on a decade now. I thought that was like an actual material, Sansa belt.
No, it's the pant. But it's probably, if you're picturing it, it's probably polyester.
Okay.
And the part that latched kind of came all the way over. And
okay.
It had a very distinct look to it.
Oh, I like that.
Instead of there being a little hook
It's like
at the top.
it's like tuxedo pants a little.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you that. I'll take your Sansa.
I like a Sansa belt slack.
You do, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Do they still make them?
Probably do. I don't know where to tell you to go. Maybe Dollar Store. Kohl's.
That's where they'd be available.
Yeah,
The Dollar Store.
Kohl's might have some.
Sansa belt was a brand of men's trousers. Wide-webbed elastic band sewn into the waist, intended to make a belt or suspenders unnecessary.
You don't see enough suspenders these days.
No. You really got to be a bit of a jackwagon to wear suspenders, don't you?
Really? Is that right?
I think so. It's a look at me move, isn't it? Look at me and
What
my
if they're
cute
holding
suspenders.
your pant up?
I have a friend who's allergic to nickel, so he can't wear
How
it.
often does that come up?
Well, he can't, anytime he wears a belt, the buckle is usually made out of nickel, and he breaks out like the Dickens.
Really?
Yeah, I know people like that too.
Really?
Yeah, like harsh metals. Really messes with their skin.
Harsh metals.
Well, it
Doug, I
doesn't
feel
hit
like
your
you-
skin, though.
I feel like you're not
You
gonna
can
like
rub
that.
up on your tummy.
If you got a little muffin top, sometimes that'll touch the
You got your gut is spilling all the way over to rub up against this harsh metal.
taking a
the
shot?
belt buckle. Yeah, that's not uncommon.
Well, then you probably have more problems than just a harsh metal.
For sure, but you don't
Allergy.
want like hives on your belly.
So
Unless you
Doug,
do, I don't know.
Doug would accuse that person of being a jackwagon. They're like, sorry, pal, I don't really want to break out into hives.
Yeah, I stand by him.
Well, I just don't think we need suspenders anymore.
I don't ever wear them.
No. Do you even own a pair of suspenders?
No, I think I wore them for my brother's wedding, but I don't think I've worn them since.
The only real excuse is if you have a tuxedo that
Yeah, right.
needs it, and then it's kind of a special occasion.
Now, Doug, careful here, because I had Andy Banker on the radio once, and I said, what's with the suspenders? He's a big suspenders guy, especially in the
Why?
summer when you're not wearing a coat. Doug, be careful, because I did this, and he said, well, I have to tell you, when I started in TV, he said I did have like some anxiety, and I met with somebody, and they said, and I don't think he minds me saying it, because he said it on the air, and he said they told me like to wear the suspenders, and for whatever reason, I'm not making this up, it helped deal with that anxiety. So I am not here to suspender shame, okay?
Suspenders help with anxiety?
Yes, I don't know. I'm just telling you, that was a thing. So that was one of the, and then he kind of got used to it.
I can see that. It kind of puts a little pressure over the shoulders.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a weighted blanket.
Yeah.
And he looks like the most calm, comfortable, on-air person you'd ever see.
And I think now he's fine, but I think early on, and then he kind of got used to it.
Huh.
So there you go, Doug.
All right.
Gosh, people out there are struggling, and here you are just dumping on them.
Plus, you just really look cool when you do one of these, Doug, with the suspenders.
Yeah, just kind of
Snap
pop
'em.
them. Yeah.
Is Doug fat shaming? He must be friends with Ariana Grande. That's from Sketch/Alex, who's been trying to call in per Sketch/Alex, but Chairman Kurt says that's not going on, and he is really upset that Jackson's friends with Ariana Grande.
Close friends, too.
The false narrative is now spilling into other false narratives.
God. Maybe
Hey, the phones are working.
Yeah, Chairman Kurt is on.
Because I don't think Pestis is a good litmus test for the phone's working.
He's always on.
Well, I think he has like a direct line.
He's been starting to call before the program. That's spreading territory.
He's got like hard fiber directly into the studio.
Hard fiber.
Chairman Kurt just said to the caller, "Oh, you want to talk about it?"
That's how it always is. It's always they give you the take. It's like, is this for the air? Or are you just telling me, bro?
I'm dying to know the pre-call conversation. I'm just dying because all we hear is him saying, "Okay, really? That's what you want to talk about?"
Experiences in life. Everyone should experience what it's like to screen calls for a radio show just for a day. It's a wild social experiment.
I think the guy in New York said, "Yeah, I want to get on there. This team's got no balls. I want to
Those
get on
guys
there."
especially, they could probably have stories for hours. Like if you screen Francesa and Mad Dog calls for 15 years, you could write a book.
Let's see, Chairman Kurt. What do we have?
The minute I put him on hold, he dropped. He said, "Yeah, he wanted to talk about it," and then he's gone.
What do you want to talk about?
Suspenders.
Oh, gosh.
Call back in, Bart or Mark.
Barter?
Bart or Mark.
You couldn't understand? Yeah, I gotcha.
Hey, welcome in. It's Bart or Mark. Go ahead, caller.
Bart or Mark, call in. Callier and Thompson phone lines. Doug, you'll have great enthusiasm because So What'd Your Grandma Think is coming.
Ooh.
Oh.
So What'd Your Grandma Think makes a glorious return, Jackson? All right. Here it comes. So What'd Your Grandma Think? It's a Fisher Window and Door Store, 8 o'clock hour on TMA 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan here with you to talk a little bit about aesthetic design and build. I've gotten to know Dan and his team in their showroom in Chesterfield Valley at Aesthetic Design and Build. And what they do is build high-quality custom decks and outdoor living spaces. They've been doing it for over 30 years. They are capable of doing everything from a full-on custom deck to adding on a pergola, or especially when the weather gets warm, if you're looking to shade your covered patio with retractable screens, they can do that for you as well. They really do have answers for it all. The best thing is they don't take the high-pressure sales route or come back weeks later with a gimmicky discount. They encourage you to go out and do your research. They're confident that once you compare the work that they do with what else is out there, you will see they are the better choice. They truly are a design company that can think outside the box and offer unique solutions and designs for your outdoor living projects. If you are ready to take your outdoor space to the next level, Dan and his team at Aesthetic Design and Build have you covered. Call them at 636-532-5008 or visit them online at aestheticdesignandbuild.com and let them know I sent you their way.
God, this better not
dog.
be. Tim, this isn't me going up to Fetty last night saying congratulations, is it?
Jackie Papers, I mean, it's one of your most well-respected pieces of production. It stems from the balloon party era. Doug, an award-winning segment called So What'd Your Grandma Think?
Okay.
This usually happens when a media member gets sideways with an athlete or coach. What do we have today here on 101 ESPN?
So this is with golfer Colin Morikawa, who was just recently split from his caddy after, I believe, what was it, 5 events?
Five events. Joe Greiner, Doug, was he Max Homa's caddy?
Hell, I don't know.
So there was an article written, Yahoo Sports, or I'm sorry, in USA Today by Adam Schupak.
Tupac, of course, shot in 1996.
Allegedly.
Martin and I believe he is somewhere in St. Bart's.
I think he's dirt nap.
This is golf week. How would you pronounce SCHUPAK?
It is pronounced Schupak.
Schupak. All right. So he wrote an article about the split, and in this section here, he says it's unclear who Morikawa will have take over permanently going forward. Quote, ask me anything you want in my press conference later. I'm with my Pro-Am partners now, end quote. Morikawa said, but this week at Detroit Golf Club, he has his former college teammate from California on the bag. They had an exchange later in said press conference, and this is how it went.
Oh, I'd like to hear it.
Do you know who's going to caddy for you at the British Open?
I don't, and I read your article that you wrote. Look, I'm not here to tell people how to do their jobs, but I don't get why you would make me sound bad because you put out my quote that I was playing with Pro-Am partners out front. Those guys are paying a lot of money. They're very important to the community. They're very important to the Rocket Classic. And for you to put out a quote like that, to put me down and saying, hey, wait 2.5 hours. I mean, you called me up on the first tee, So I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. You can write whatever you want. This is America. But don't put me down like that because it's 2.5 hours, Adam.
I thought I was actually giving you credit that you were focused on your Pro-Am partners.
Okay, we can all read it very differently. That's not how I read it. I don't know how, but I'm just telling you, I think there's a perspective where people can read it like that. So I'm just going to leave it at that. We knew I was going to have media in 2.5 hours. I'm on the first tee meeting my Pro-Am partners as they're teeing off. So on the caddy front, I don't. It's a process that I'm going through. Hopefully we'll find out when the time comes, and I will let everyone know. Thank you.
So you're saying you should have just waited because you knew you were going to talk to me before publishing the report.
I think his problem was with him including the quote, ask me anything you want in my press conference later. I'm with my Pro-Am partners now. In Morikawa's mind, I imagine he's thinking that Adam thought he was blowing him off, and that was not his intention, according to Morikawa.
Got it.
Not a lot of sympathy for Colin Morikawa so far in the Air Comfort Service text inbox, Doug. Jesus, these golfers are such wimpy losers. That's from Eric in the Central West End, who Jackson says is attractive, but Jackson is not attracted to him.
Correct.
Okay.
I cannot stand these PGA soy boys these days. That's from the 636. Doesn't sound like it sounds like the people are on the side of Tupac, Martin. And also, just like me and you, believe he's in St. Bart's.
I'm still not sure I get the whole thing. The writer wanted access to Morikawa before he played the round?
He asked him about the caddy
before the round.
On the first tee of the Pro-Am.
So he went up to him on the first tee.
That is my understanding.
Okay.
And that's what Morikawa was upset about?
Not necessarily. He's upset about the quote being included in the article saying, ask me anything you want in my press conference later. I'm with my Pro-Am partners now. Because he thinks... Morikawa thinks that,
so
that
it sounded
comes
like
across like he's blowing off.
Buzz off, pal.
Right.
And the golfer is saying, I'm literally telling you, just let me do the Pro-Am thing, and then we'll go over all of it. And then the guy published the story with the quote.
Yeah.
So I listened to Smiley Kaufman, his podcast about this exchange. And, Smiley Kaufman's now on NBC's broadcast team and as a former player. And he was saying, because I was like, okay, what's the significance of the Pro-Am? I've played in Pro-Ams. They're pretty loose, I guess, for lack of a better term. They're certainly not serious. It's the pros kind of have to do it. I'm sure if they were given the choice, they wouldn't do it, but that's part of how you make your money. And so I was wondering about this because Morikawa and Rory McIlroy certainly have been vocal about media access this year. And Smiley Kaufman said, I am on Morikawa's side. It's understood that when a player is out there playing, this isn't when you would ask him about this. So that's what he had to say about it.
And I'd also say it's about Morikawa's caddy. Like, it's not Israel, Iran. I mean, let's just hold on. So he's talking later today. Fair enough.
It would have probably been easier for Morikawa just to tell the guy on the tee, I don't know who it's going to be. Sorry. And that would have been the end of the story, right?
Are you chasing people around the car? Who's your caddy? Who's your caddy? Who's your grandma?
I bet he was gentle parented. That's from the 636. I've never heard that term. I bet he was gentle parented. Is that a term that is mainstream and I'm not familiar with?
No, look it up.
I've not heard it. But
okay,
I think
all right. Well, then I guess that answers the question.
It's all worth it just to hear the Open.
The Open is the signature.
Congratulations. We lost. I lost.
Gentle parenting is a child-rearing approach that emphasizes empathy, respect, and understanding to foster a positive parent-child relationship. It focuses on secure attachment through connection, quality time, and love, while also setting clear and consistent boundaries. I'm reading here.
Is there another umbrella there to helicopter parenting?
So it's helicopter parenting.
You heard that before?
No.
Where you kind of hover over your kids, like you don't let them go far, and you're kind of always monitoring them.
Yeah, that's been around a while. Helicopter moms, especially.
So that goes back decades, or this is a new phenomenon?
Oh, years.
Jackson,
the helicopter.
What do you got about helicopter?
We've discussed something that I don't think actually happens, but gets written about a lot of parents coming to job interviews. That would be an example of helicopter parenting.
Oh, yeah, to the extreme.
Overly involved in their children's lives, hovering over their every move and decision, often to the point of being overly protective, controlling.
I've not seen anyone go into a job interview with their parents either. I don't see a lot of job interviews, so maybe it happens.
I've never heard that.
Johnny, don't answer that question.
But I do feel like we've had listeners before text and be like, no, I do a lot of interviews, and sometimes that'll happen.
A parent will show up with
I feel like we've heard that. I've never heard the story of
if
it.
you're a high school kid going up to the McDonald's, maybe the parent drives you there.
I think there's a lot of times where parents are like their foot in the door to get the connection to then get the job interview.
I feel like Martin, was that a direct shot?
But to actually be in there, like acting as their agent. Would be
a lot of people get their jobs because their parents knew somebody in the position.
Sure.
How about this from Ollie Doesn't Know? Parents going into sleepovers with their kids?
What?
It sounds like a situation.
Yeah, I don't know if that.
No, he made that up.
Guys, my money is on the reporter likely had a deadline and procrastinated on a quote. Once he had it, he fired it off in the article. That's from the Lake St. Louis Island boy.
Well, that could well be.
Could be the case.
Well, Tim, you're really into the golf. Is this story big enough that it would be necessary, like, to get the answer? Like, can't wait. Need to find out.
No, it is a reflection of it being a slow time in between, specifically golf, Martin. The U.S. Open and what Doug calls the Open.
Some call it the British Open.
Some call it the British Open. So you have that. Then you have the fact that networks in sports coverage have the NBA draft, and that is it, with the Stanley Cup final being over, with the NBA finals being over, and nationally baseball doesn't have the draw that it does regionally or locally. And so it's a byproduct of a 24-hour news cycle that needs things to fill time. That is my answer. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless these United States of America.
Mm-hmm. Just seems like if you're going to chase something to try and get some clicks, you could do better than that.
Hardcore golf fans know about Colin Morikawa and how talented he is, but he is not a name that I think transcends beyond the hardcore golf fan, even though he's super talented and he's won majors. But a caddy situation for a guy who plays the game a little differently. I mean, he's because he's so talented, but he's gone through a few caddies. It speaks to, I think, the bigger issue that this year is the golfers being irritated by the media coverage and their availability. there is a movement to try to make golfers have to do interviews like in other sports. And that is what I think that this is.
This is kind of...
And Morikawa and McIlroy have been the two most vocal on it.
Jose Rory was the big example.
But people know about Rory well beyond golf fans. Colin Morikawa, certainly golf fans are well aware of him, but I think... I'm sure there's a decent percentage of people in the listening audience right now who might be familiar with him, but aren't that familiar with him. You would agree with that, Jackson?
Yeah.
He's not a...
He's won a major, but he is not...
Yeah, he's won a PGA, he's won an Open, but he's not... he's not a household name to the casual fan. To me, yes, but I recognize...
He's like in the Cam Smith category.
Well, maybe Tupac should have approached him, like we often do, and just said, hey, Colin, are you taking questions?
Right. And who's big for you?
Yeah. That's a question that they would all answer.
Some moms are now going to the pitcher's mound when the coach goes to talk with the pitcher. That's in the White Collar Gangster.
I could see that.
I have seen
that's happened.
I've seen not a mother, but
well, who, an agent?
Well, I played on a team. I did not play baseball long. I think I stopped after the 6th grade. But in that 6th grade year, there was a pitcher who would get a little. He would get emotionally hurt when he would give up a couple base runners, let some people on, and would need a second.
You've got to be kidding me.
He would need a mound visit, and oftentimes
Doug's going to hold him accountable right now.
Crying because he gave up a couple base runners.
The father would come out and console him.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
Will you bring like fruit snacks?
And I was playing short, and I was just like, "Oh my God, it's like 100
How
degrees."
How old were you?
6, yeah, so
11 or 12 years old?
Yeah, probably 12.
Oh, boy.
And a parent came out to hug their kid, their pitcher, who'd given up a couple of hits.
He did
Come on!
He was a good guy, just didn't react well. It's base runners. Walks, hits.
No, that's on the parents. He didn't react well because of the parents. Haven't taught him how to react. Nobody ever took him by the lapels and say, you gave up a hit, get over it, now pitch to the next hitter. Instead, it was, I'm sorry he hit that ball so hard, Jimmy. He shouldn't have done that to you. You're a precious little diamond.
I was not privy to the conversations, but it always resulted with he would throw again afterwards. So I guess they'd get over
what
it.
are we doing here? We're stopping the game for this? We're letting Johnny's dad come out to the mound with graham crackers? Let's go here. Where's that dad?
Yeah.
Riding the umpire who's 10.
Gentle parenting is the concept of being a good parent. Don't yell at your kids. You don't shame them. You don't guilt them. You don't beat them. The idea is you treat your kids with respect. I'll treat you with respect. We attempt to practice this big emphasis on attempt. It's hard to go from Irish Catholic parenting to gentle parenting. That's in the 618. I feel like Martin and I just took shots.
Jeez.
No, I agree. You don't beat your kids, but you don't try to be your kid's best friend either. You're in charge, not the kid. The kid is not in charge. He's not on equal footing. The most important person in the family are the parents, not the kids. The parents have got to teach the kids how to behave and how to deal with things. Not to try to be their friends, but how to teach them how to ultimately be an independent adult themselves. Not someone who's going to blame someone else every time things don't go perfectly for them. There.
Adam Carolla had
Never give up on my dream.
Knock it off and get back in there.
Adam Carolla had a bit, but he said it's a longer story, but in the end he said, not only did I think my own dad would beat the snot out of me, I thought my friends' dads would beat the snot out of me. Like,
for sure. And your parents would have been okay with it.
Yes.
Fetty would have tossed a no-no last night if his mom didn't wash his jockstrap before the game. That's from the 818. Doug, what does that all mean?
I don't know. Do you think Fetty would have been embarrassed if his mother had hustled out
after the first pitch home
run?
run?
After the friend said, you're going to be okay, Eric.
Yeah. No one wears jockstraps anymore.
I guarantee you, none of the guys who made it to the major leagues had parents that behaved like that. None of them.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not.
I do think there's a debate in that game, like when do you take him out and when do you say, all right, we're done. He's got to eat it as long as he can.
Yeah.
Or do you say, God, we still got a chance here?
You think there's a conversation in the dugout?
I do. I think they're like, when do you take him out? Like he's clearly
well, with him. Like, do you think it's like, hey, I know you've only gone 3 innings, you've given up.
I think he just knows that he's going to take it for a while. But there is a moment where like, God, it's 2-0, 4-0 win. Do we have still? Because this team's come back a ton.
Yeah.
I wondered about that. Like, when do you decide? All right, this game's over. We're just going going to eat it.
Sharon and Clayton, who does not have children and celebrates that often in our Air Comfort Service text inbox, says the following: because I said so. That's how you parent. End of story. Doug, that's Sharon and Clayton.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is. The way it should be.
I think everyone parents different, though. Each child's different. No, like there's no blanket way. I don't have children, so I shouldn't speak.
Yeah, you can have lousy parents and great kids, and you can have great kids and lousy parents. That works. Yeah. But the best percentage is you have to have a firm hand as a parent.
Discipline?
Discipline. Discipline is the thing.
Yeah.
And the kids even want it. The kids want to know what their boundaries are.
Otherwise, they'll make their own.
Otherwise they'll make a lot of lousy decisions. They'll bite on the first shiny object that comes along, and sometimes that object's got a hook in it.
Ooh, nice. I like that. Jackson, I still wear a jockstrap, and if you need proof, I can send you a picture of me with just that on. That's from Doug Glatt. Would you like him to send that image in to 314-399-9646?
No thanks. No thanks, Goon.
Goon.
No thanks, Goon.
I do a lot of text box auditing. I'll go back and see what's been discussed that I missed. Whenever it just says image, I
stay
pass.
clear.
Oftentimes, it's a pantless Mark McGuire.
Yeah.
You can send those pictures in, though, at 314-399-9646. You also are welcome to talk gentle parroting in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat. That's youtube.com/TMASTL. More than 200 people are in there getting to know each other and talking it over right now. And, of course, that includes Jake and St. Genevieve, Sam Mother, the Bridgeton Landfill Fume Huffer, John Scores, and one of our dear friends, the Walrus King, who is in a great conversation with Doug's butt hamster. So you can go in there and read it at youtube.com/TMASTL. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Little Jackie Papers on the ones and twos, Chairman Kurt filtering the calls on the Callier and Thompson phone lines. The program's called TMA, and it airs on 101 ESPN.
Mortgage loans can get a little complicated. Together Credit Union wants to help you out. As your hometown home loan provider, Together Credit Union has a home loan solution for every buyer out there. Get in on the action, whether you're buying your first home, downsizing, sizing up, or need that second mortgage. Together Credit Union, here for you. Fixed rate, adjustable rate, conventional, jumbo loans. They've got it all. Even specialty loans like FHA, construction, union member mortgages, community contributing mortgages. All of it, one spot. Together Credit Union can help you through the whole process, all of it done in-house right here in St. Louis. Together Credit Union's experienced team will handle the underwriting, servicing, everything you need. It's all done locally. So remember, Together Credit Union, your hometown home loan provider. Check out the rates at togethercu.org. Here's to making St. Louis your home. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
takes me back to a happy place, a happy era, but I don't really think I like the song.
That's a great take.
You like the take?
I love the take because it's like I think of my iPod Nano, that I definitely had this song on, along with some Counting Crows. Shout out to Projo, and I think to a simpler time. But no, this song's not great.
Are things complicated now? You had a simpler time.
Yeah, when you're 7, things are real simple.
Oh, yeah. You were listening to this when you were 7?
Probably indirectly, yeah.
I was saying to my son the other night, I said, I'd do anything to go back and trade places with you. And he goes, you want to be a kid? I go, hell yeah. It's like the opening scene of Big. but I'm like, yeah, of course. But I have to say, when I was 7, you think that things suck.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a grass is always greener thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
You could go back, but then you'd want to jump over some periods.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Middle school, kind of. Puberty.
Bussing tables at Pietro's.
Yeah.
Getting my balls hazed off at Sigma Chi.
Are they on campus or off campus?
I believe we're making a return.
I don't know if they're in that house, though.
I don't know if we're at 500 South College. You can text into the program, 314-399-9646. The show is called The Morning After. It's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen, and you can watch it at youtube.com/TMASTL. John Mozeliak was on with BK and Ferrario yesterday afternoon, and I was listening to the interview, some good clips from the conversation. Little Jackie Papers has pulled some of the clips. Papers, what do you want to go with here? There's a wide variety.
Yeah, there sure is. I think the first one to play is about the front office and their thought process on runway as it currently stands.
Saying runway.
Well, you're going to have to
stop. Are we in Motown? I like the slug at the top.
Yeah,
of
Motown.
Stiefel Dossier says Motown.
Yeah, that's right. Here's John Mozeliak on BK Ferrario.
You know, we went into this offseason wanting to give these guys a chance to play because we believed in them. I mean, we thought we were going to be good. We don't, like, I don't walk down the clubhouse and the mindset isn't that we're going to lose today. The mindset is we think we're going to win today. And you know, if we really wanted to just blow this thing up, we would have made a lot of different trades this offseason. We would have moved on to players that are going to be free agents at the end of this year. But ultimately, we thought with the young core we had, the balance of those veterans, it made sense to give them this chance to play.
I have to say, and
you got to raise your hand and say, I have a question, a follow-up?
Yeah, I didn't think that he was going to take that line, and Doug was talking about it, Martin, in the 10 o'clock hour yesterday, that he really hopes that for Mozeliak's sake, because he's caught so much hell in St. Louis over mainly the last decade, because his first 8 years, my God, it'd be tough to argue with the success the team had from 2009 through 2015, that I don't think that's accurate.
Because they did try to trade some big pieces.
Yes. So it's a bit of revisionist history, and I kind of thought that he was operating on, I mean, this is fortunate, but it's not necessarily what we were expecting. They did go 2 players and asked if they wanted to be traded. So now to say otherwise is a little
I mean, the one
off.
big piece he could point to is what Helsley. We haven't moved Helsley.
Absolutely. That's the one I was thinking of.
That he could say, there's an example
I suppose
of,
you could say Fetty too, but I don't know if that's really a big piece. But
if you'd successfully traded Arenado, which you tried to do, Contreras and Sonny Gray, this team would be a lot less. I mean, Contreras, one of your best hitters. Gray's one of your best pitchers. Arenado's your best fielder. I mean, so if those 3 are removed, then you really didn't try to win.
Exactly right.
This year.
But he also said players who are going to be free agents next year.
Well, I'm saying Helsley. I'm trying to think who else.
Miles Michaelis and Steven Matz, I believe.
You know, specifically on Michaelis, and this is kind of a spring training thing. Was it Michaelis who said this to us? It could have been both of them.
Michaelis said they didn't even come to me because they knew the answer.
Because they knew the answer.
And Mo, I think, even said, I didn't ask Michaelis.
Didn't even bother. So that's a bit of an outlier, but specific to 3 of, your key pieces. Arenado was listed as priority 1, 2, and 3 to trade.
How do you know that? Who said that?
The guy that we just heard from.
Oh.
And then Contreras was like, I'll go to first base. And Gray, said no, but I think if the Cardinals were located in Los Angeles, it might have been a different program. I think this is about proximity to Nashville more than anything else. So It's in the whole scheme of things, I don't really think any of it matters. But when I heard that exchange, I'm glad you picked that one, Jackson, because I was like, I don't know if it really matters, but I don't think that that's necessarily representative of what really happened.
Only he knows for sure. I mean, I think that we can be pretty sure that they tried to trade all these players and tried hard to trade them, but I guess he would really be the only one that would know.
Well, I mean, the Arenado one I don't think can be disputed. The Sonny Gray one, that's a different conversation, but I don't think it was really a baseball reason that he chose not to go anywhere. Maybe it would have been a different situation for Gray if he were younger in his career, didn't have a family, didn't live in Nashville. Take your pay. Like I said, when it gets down to it, I'm not sure how much of this really matters because Mozeliak's not going to be in this position in 4 months. And, some of these guys are I guess going to be here. I don't really know.
Really?
I really don't. But yeah, I thought that when I listened to that, I had the exact same reaction you did, Martin. I'm like, that's not, because that kind of became the fan thing. When they're on a hot streak, it becomes, well, it's a good thing that they made the moves that they did or didn't make the moves that they did. But it's like, well, they tried to, and then they just weren't able to do it. So I wouldn't really consider that a success story.
It's like getting credit for not signing David Price. Well, we tried to.
Right.
Stanton was another one I think they wanted.
Some of the best moves are the ones you don't make.
Yep.
That's this year's new slogan.
What else do we have here, Papers?
Discussing...
This is BK and Ferrario yesterday, John Mozeliak.
Yeah, discussing how Ali Marmol is in a tough spot trying to get the right guys the right amount of playing time.
It's a very tough spot. That's the challenging part of being a manager. But I think we're trying to balance opportunity with trying to win games. And I think Ollie's done an amazing job doing that. Obviously, as we enter today, there's going to be some decisions we have to make, in terms of what our roster looks like. But ultimately, I think it's the young players are taking advantage of what they're getting the opportunity to do, and that was what we hoped to see.
Base knock, Doug.
Mm-hmm. We're still hitting the ball at the end of these interviews anyway. Still making good, solid content. I was right on the screws, that last one.
It was.
I feel sometimes, and maybe this is just me and I'm way off base here. Tell me if I am. Sometimes
Doug, you're way off base here.
I feel like because we didn't expect much from this Cardinal team, that it doesn't mean as much that they're actually contending. It's like, well, this team isn't really very good because we didn't think they were going to be very good. And yet here they are, 7 over 500, very much in the race, and yet we're not as excited as perhaps we would be in other years when we had high expectations, thinking, oh, we got a contending team. And then at the end of June, you are contending, and you feel a little bit better about things.
So you have a built-in bias.
I like that discussion point. I think that's a good conversation to have because I'm sure a number of fans have that goes through either their conscious or subconscious when determining whether or not to go to games. I also think one of the core reasons why people might not want to buy in or celebrate that the team has exceeded expectations. Again, their win total in Las Vegas before the season was 76.5. Now officially through 81 games. So the math is very simple. They are on pace to win 88 games and supersede expectations by a material total. I also think something that runs parallel to that is a real dislike of John Mozeliak. Whether that's right or wrong, I think we would all agree that it exists. And hell, I think he would agree that it exists. When he sat down with us for opening day right after I fell through the set, he said, well, you should be happy. This is the last year you have to deal with me. There's also, I don't think it's as substantial, but there is a dislike for Ali Marmol amongst Cardinal fans. So I think there's that. Now, I don't personally have those things. If anything, I really like Mozeliak and I enjoy the sarcasm, but I also get how it doesn't play sometimes when the team's not performing. And I only have had that interaction when we were down at spring training with Ali Marmol. Martin, I know you have a much closer history of rapport with Ali Marmol. So I'm not in that category. The way I view the team and why I expect them to not be there when the final shot is fired is the starting pitching. But if somehow guys continue to perform above where I expect them to be, and their numbers historically have been, I'd be thrilled, because otherwise I've got NHL free agency and whatever the Blues do, and then I got to look forward to Missouri and Central Arkansas on a Thursday night before Labor Day. So I need some entertainment. So I hope that they supersede expectations. You know, Ricky Horton was on with us when we were at spring training. I guess you guys may remember this, and he talked about when they went to spring training in '85. I think he said they were picked to be in last place, and that team won 100 games, won the pennant. You know, was whatever nonsense away from winning a World Series. And I certainly would say, granted, we're going back 4 decades and only a sliver of the audience can remember all of this, but that team captivated St. Louis. It was exciting. This team's exciting. But I think there were some players who came up that you didn't really know about, or players that with a managerial style that excited the fans, that made them believe. In addition, they were going back and forth with the New York Mets team that, when we had Dwight Gooden on a couple of months ago, I mean, that's a team that team was right up there with one of the best in the 1980s, and they were back and forth. In this category, I don't think that fans necessarily think that this is a great team, but they're happy that they're where they are, but not sure that they're going to be in this spot when it's all said and done. I think that would characterize a large portion, and then another portion would be, I just don't like Mozeliak, or I just don't like Marmol, or I just don't like both, and therefore I don't want to reward them for any semblance of overachievement to this point.
I think fans are frustrated with the approach, that they're not really, quote, going for it or being aggressive, and then they offer an offseason where they basically say we're going to kind of reset things.
So then it rewards that lack of activity.
Well, and I think people are saying, well, why are you resetting? You're the St. Louis freaking Cardinals. Let's go here. And I think there is that frustration, and I've said it many times. I think Arenado has a little bit of that belief as well. You're the St. Louis Cardinals. You don't need to be reset. Let's go. Let's be aggressive.
We're the St. Louis Cardinals, so get it done.
So get it.
Was that
done.
Arenado there?
Was that Arenado?
I think that was one of our callers.
He called in after Mo was on with BK Ferrario. Arenado called in and said that. But I think there is that frustration. But on the other side of it, if you're a fan of a team, and I get it, you can vote with your pocketbook. Does anybody have a pocketbook anymore? They always say you vote with your pocketbook.
My grandma would always say.
Vote with your pocketbook. But all seasons are up for grabs. Like, you don't know like, you and I, we could say, right, this team's not winning the World Series. We'd say that with definitively. And then all of a sudden things break and you're like, oh my God, Arenado's second half, he was the best player in the National League. Oh my God. Like, you don't know for sure. That's why it's really hard to make something so definitive. Like, this is the worst Blues team I've ever seen. Oh my God, they won 12 in a row. And you're like, well, they're better than I thought.
That certainty is also why it's so entertaining, because you never really know what you're going to get. But I think it was almost universally thought in Cardinal Nation that this team isn't going to be very good. And when you get that sense early on, now to have to admit that they're a lot better than they were, you're also admitting that you were wrong, that you didn't have it figured out at the beginning of the year.
In all honesty, that's why I don't do well in the hot take world, because I think a lot of it is just noise. And it's like, it's the worst team ever assembled in the history of mankind.
And it becomes a reaction to what happened the night before. And so it becomes, absurd if you take a step back. So there's that. I think part of that is probably accurate, Doug. But, I guess we can, and it's nice that we can, look at where the Blues were. Now, there was some, you got to take yourself back, and I think for many, including myself, what the focus point is crap 1.6 seconds. But in December, they kind of got it going after Jim Montgomery came on board, and then with some opportunity in January, started to fall apart. And then you had the famous Four Nations break where they came out like bats out of hell and went on a charge. I couldn't have seen that coming at all. The difference, though, there is in St. Louis, and again, this is not speaking absolute, in St. Louis, people like Doug Armstrong. Not everyone, but certainly more than John Mozeliak. I don't know who would argue that point. And people like Jim Montgomery. Not everyone, but certainly more than Ali Marmol at this particular moment, or at that particular moment back in February. And so I think that plays a role. And I think they like/respect Tom Stillman, and so they feel like he does whatever he can to put the franchise in a position to win, and they don't see that from Bill DeWitt at this particular moment. And so therefore, even though many of us, certainly including myself, did not see the Blues charge coming, hell, I thought they were done when Parayko got hurt in L.A., that it was a pleasant surprise. So I don't think that you have that same thing going on with, I was wrong, so therefore I'm not going to get excited about it. People were certainly excited about it on this front. And anytime we talk about the World Series, it's a weird thing. I see absolutely no way in hell, I wish I could bet it, that the Cardinals would finish with the best record in the National League. But I could see the Cardinals winning the World Series, which I realize is kind of counterintuitive to the way we all grew up. And by we all, I mean Doug, Martin, and myself, because winning the World Series means you were at least one of the 4 best teams because you got into the playoffs. But now with 3 times as many teams getting into the playoffs and randos beating the best teams, roll the ball out there and see what happens at that point if you can get in. I personally don't like that because I think it devalues the 162-game marathon, but it's not going to change. They're not going to subtract from the top line, so it is here to stay. So from a sample size standpoint, I see no way the Cardinals would wind up with the best record. It could happen, of course. I don't see it happening. But I could see them getting into the playoffs and somehow making a run. I wouldn't put that past them. It's a lot more like the Stanley Cup playoffs now than it was like the 1980s where you get to the NLCS and you're 4 wins away from the World Series.
Well, the Cubs are one of the best teams in the National League, record-wise. And most would say, they're probably a little better than the Cardinals. But you play them 2 nights in a row, and you say, well, we could beat them. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden you're in the playoffs. Cubs are one of the better teams in the National League. Can you beat them? Yeah. Could you beat the Phillies in a short series?
2 or 3 from the Dodgers 2 weeks ago.
Right. I mean, sure. So that's why you can't make a definitive statement. But I think what's weird about the Cardinals is it was kind of a reset year, and all. If they stumble into a very good season, I think they would have to be honest and say, okay, we weren't really expecting this. I think that would be across the board. Yeah. Nobody was expecting this team to contend. I think they were hoping to at least be respectable. If they were being honest, I think they wanted to be respectable while also seeing what they have in Walker and Gorman. And if you're better than respectable, that's a surprise.
And if that was their goal, they will have accomplished that, at least for the first half of the season.
I also think Blues fans are more forgiving or supportive. Like whatever the team says, I mean, they show up. Even when the team struggles, they show up. I think they're on board with whatever Army says for the most part. Now, there's some real diehards who don't like this contract or that move. But for the most part, I think Blues fans are like, go get them, guys. Whereas Cardinal fans have become a little more cynical and jaded in recent years.
I think there's a real difference in the way people in this area watch baseball and hockey and how they root for their teams. Everybody around here grew up and played Little League baseball or softball and feels like they know the game a little bit. And it's a little easier to understand baseball. Everyone thinks they can manage along with Ollie. Not many people think they can coach along with Montgomery. The overwhelming majority of people in St. Louis never played hockey. They might enjoy watching the Blues, but most of us didn't play hockey, and most of us did play some form of baseball at some time, so we think we know more about baseball, so that makes us more of an expert to be critical of everything we see. We don't know the line changes in hockey. It all happens so fast, you can't keep up with it, most of us.
I think that certainly there's a lot of truth to it, but I think, over the last, 2-3 decades, so many kids play hockey now and grow up playing hockey that it's different than when we grew up. It's so prominent in St. Louis, which, if anything, is a credit to the Blues alumni, that I think that part of that has changed. I think when it gets down to it, if I were to ask the audience, and you're welcome to text in your responses, ask you guys, if you expect the Blues to do something of note over the next handful of days, I would imagine most people would say yes. And if I were to ask you, do you expect the Cardinals to do something of note? And by the way, of note doesn't necessarily mean buying. It can be selling. Do something of note between now and the trade deadline. I think most would say no. And so when you both emotionally and financially invest in a team, you want to feel some semblance of reciprocation. And I think where the Cardinal chasm has grown between the fan base and the organization is that fans do not feel like they're experiencing that reciprocation, whereas they do feel it comes from the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, there's truth to that. My point is, I think there's far more people that understand the X's and O's of baseball than hockey. Most wouldn't have a clue what's going on in hockey. They see it as organized chaos and don't know exactly where the defenseman's supposed to be on this play and that play. But they all know where the shortstop's supposed to be on the relay. It's just easier to be critical of baseball, I think.
It's the reason.
St. Louis, it certainly has been for decades.
But it's the reason sports is still in demand. I mean, TV has changed dramatically, but they want live events because it is reality TV. You're going to go to, you have no idea what's going to happen. And that's why it's still, sports on TV is still extremely popular. I mean, how many different Roku's, Apple, all these, they all want in on it because you just don't know for sure what's going to happen. I know that's different from what you were saying, but I think in general, with all teams, you just don't know. I guarantee the Cardinals have had teams like, oh, they're going to be really good. This team's going to be really good. That was what Vermeil said. He flew out to see John Shaw after the 98 season, sits down with John Shaw and starts telling him how they're going to be really good in 99. And he said, John Shaw said, oh, my God, Dick, I've heard this from so many coaches. We're gonna be good next year. I know we're going to be good. Don't tell me that. And it's true because you just don't know. Because I guarantee the Cardinals had teams that they thought were going to be really good, and they went the other way. I think if they're being honest, this team they thought was they hoped would be respectable. But going back, that's when they had Contreras, Gray, and Arenado. Before that, if you unload all of those guys, what did you think you would look like? Boy, you were fingers crossed. And how'd you like to be Ollie Marmol? You're going to have a team that doesn't have Gray, Contreras, Arenado. Go get them, Skip.
Yeah.
And then you end up having those guys. Oh, thank God. I wouldn't mind winning as many games as I can.
Well, and with the live sporting events on TV you talked about, the people that really like that are the sponsors, the place where the money comes in. Because with live sporting events, people don't fast forward through the commercials. If you watch something on network TV or something, or you record something, you just fast forward right through. You never see the commercials. But sponsors know that their commercials are going to get significant airtime that you're going to watch.
Yeah, like last night. Did you watch the game? Probably. If you didn't, would you record it and watch it the next day? Other than Tim and his sleep pattern, for the most part, people are not going to watch it the next day.
Because there's another one coming up. You get behind.
Busman's special today, Doug. I don't know what the pony situation will be like. A Cardinal Cub day game in June usually leads to a pony, but certainly is going to be incredibly hot. We'll see what kind of crowd we get. 30,300 last night, Martin.
Somebody was telling me that before the series began, the most tickets sold were for this game.
Oh, is that right? Pony.
So maybe when tickets were available, people were like, oh, I can't go to the Monday game, but I'll go on that Thursday, not knowing it was going to be 400 degrees out. Let's see if I can get an advance.
91 degrees first pitch today.
I actually thought last night wasn't as bad. It was
a little sticky, but fine. It's fine. It's summer.
How'd you get through it? Any local news person ask you on the way out, hey, it's television's Doug Vaughn. How did you get through the heat?
I tried hard to stay hydrated. Gosh, I love this club so much, though. I just had a little bit more water. I'm an adult human being, and it's summer. I think I'll be okay. I know to stay in the shade when possible. I know to drink water. I can do this without being told by the television news people.
I want teams with balls. I want guys with balls. They see the place and they run away.
And where were you losers last night? It was Mizzou night at the ballpark. Truman was there.
Tigers.
Truman was in his full gear.
I didn't see him. Was it just before the game, prancing around?
I saw him in Gruden throughout the first pitch.
He was, Truman was down there with Fred Bird. I was thinking, God, what a tough night. I wouldn't mind just for one night being that Truman down there so I could lose about 15 pounds.
Yeah,
I guarantee last night was that night.
Doug, we've received a 5-star play from the 314. Imanaga, first game back from the IL. Cards are plus 120. Hammer it. How about that? He wants to take the Cardinals plus 120.
Really?
So you put $100K down, you're going to win $120,000.
Well, that's what I do. I bet in $100,000 increments.
By the way, I got a little gambling anecdote. I think this is going to be intriguing to people.
All right.
I'll tell you on the other side of the break.
Did it again.
I did it. Teasing camp. It's an overnight teasing camp, Martin.
Overnight. It was like at a cabin somewhere in DeSoto.
This was a little situation I got going on, and since it's at my expense, many of you will enjoy it. It will be coming up on the other side of the break in the Mark Hanna Evergreen Wealth Strategies 9 o'clock hour. This is TMA 101 ESPN.
This is Jackson with a Sports Center update. It's brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Coming up this evening on 101 ESPN, you'll get day 2 of the NBA draft with coverage starting at 6:30 for the second round of the NBA draft coverage. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Gorillas?
Yeah.
Feel Good Inc. 2003?
I don't know the years, Tim. I wish I could help you.
And one of the artists was from De La Soul, and one of the artists from De La Soul's son was Trey Mason, who Missouri bottled up in the 2013 SEC championship game.
By bottled up, you mean they kept him under 400 yards?
Correct. That's correct. That's correct.
Well, if you take away those 3 really big runs, he'd still only have, what, like 180?
Mm-hmm.
Doug, missed opportunities. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. Chairman of the board. It's TMA. The program is presented to you by Brown and Crouppen. It airs on 101 ESPN, the TMA STL YouTube channel, and also you can podcast it like the Dickens. Go back and PLTD by watching on YouTube or the Schaefer Door Company podcast. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. Doug, last night I logged into my offshore gambling account because I am trying to avoid my high school bookie.
Okay. He wants your legs broken,
yes.
frankly.
And this is actually really how I do wager. It's offshore, Martin, at least for another few months, as soon as we can get that video poker thing taken care of for the guy. But I went in there. I have I'm liquid. I'm liquid AF. I'm from Tam Avenue. It kind of goes without saying. And I want to put a small taste on Alex Smalley to win the Rocket Mortgage Classic in Detroit. I'm high on that Alex Smalley.
I feel like you've made a play on him before.
It's coming for Alex Smalley.
Yeah.
And I go into my account, and it has, let's say, X number of dollars. Then I know it has X number of dollars. It still has a bunch of money in there from when the Jets beat the Blues and I was doing the emotional risk management thing. And I go in there, and I see that the account now has $1.52 in it.
Ooh. Well,
you got hacked?
Someone wet their beak.
And I go to look at the transaction log, and somebody
There's a little charge here, a little charge there. We should just take a little off the top. We'll put it back in later.
IOU.
They didn't leave a gift card.
I'm
They just took the
concerned
whole
who
damn
you were
thing.
working with.
And it was somebody got into my account and just put a bunch of different bets on Mexican soccer.
No, wow, nice. Not winners.
All of which, Doug, were not successful.
Lost every bet.
So I don't know if it was like laundering. I don't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah, boy.
I had to reach out to my friends offshore, and they asked questions. I'm like, I got nothing to hide. I know I didn't put the bets in. The last time I put a bet in, I shorted Tommy Fleetwood on Sunday. That's the only thing I did. I hate to do that. It's my son's favorite player. But I'm like, I know Tommy Fleet, and I know he gets tied on Sundays with the lead, so I got to short the market and bet against him.
And there's no history in your gambling on Mexican soccer that they could point to.
I think about the only thing I will do is bet golf. And if I know the conditions are optimal for a high-scoring or low-scoring baseball game, and emotional risk management, that's essentially it. And these are not substantial wagers usually, minus that Blues-Jets game, which still didn't make it any better when the Blues lost. But yes, it is. And this is one of the magical elements of not having legalized gambling in the state of Missouri. But again, let's take care of some video poker if we can.
They going to give you your money back?
Doug, I got an email at about 7:10 this morning saying they have received the concerns and they are looking into it.
No, it doesn't sound like you're going to get your money back.
I think I will. I'd be surprised. But again, I mean, it's offshore, so
right. That's the thing. Is like who governs? Who knows?
What a mess. If only we could clean that up and have legalized gambling.
Yeah, right.
Like even here in our own state.
Well, the people, they did.
We should vote on that maybe.
Oh, it passed.
Oh, we did? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So that should start any day now?
You would think.
It passed. That means we can't have it.
Tim, I will send you double the money you lost and will not need repayment. Doug, that's MD 2020. Martin is protecting his ears. That was like kind of a come and get it like triangle.
That
like
almost felt like communion at Mass.
Yeah, it's nice. Nice.
Or off, is that the?
I'm working with different cadences. I had this for a while.
I like that.
Nice.
Martin, we would call that the Eucharistic liturgy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was seeing if you're paying attention.
You're welcome to Tim. What if the text in 314-399-9646? What if the bets would have hit? Great question. And so I went into the account because I wanted to pull up the bets, but since I notified, I almost gave the company name, although I would imagine most people probably know what it is. They've shut down the account, which is fine. I got no problem with it. But last night when I went in there, and I'm like, I know I didn't bet on anything. I bet on like a bunch of guys who are long shots on Sunday at the Travelers because I felt like Tommy Fleetwood would fold up. But that's the last time I had placed a bet. And then I went in there and it was just a bunch of Mexican soccer games. So that's a good question from the 314 going, what would have happened if I would have won? I don't know.
It's weird that the person didn't, or whoever did it, didn't just withdraw the money and instead was like, oh, look at this. Now I can finally place some wagers on this.
I don't know if I would have gotten a notification. Yeah. I have no idea. I'm surprised I didn't get a notification anyway.
Right.
Yeah, how do they steal the money if they win?
You can do player-to-player transfers on there. I don't know.
Well, that's a pretty serious breach.
Yes.
The company.
I mean, it's not like life-changing money, but it's a decent amount of money, and it's irritating. I'm operating on the premise I'm going to get it back. If I don't, that'll suck. It's not going to, like shut things down.
I expect you'd go to Bermuda and knock a few heads.
Bermuda wouldn't be bad. But what if it would have been like, I've got some friends, as Jackson knows, who have really done well on this site and significant amounts of money. And I'm going, okay, well, what does that say?
Yeah.
Totally.
And it makes you like, because I'm sure people out there know in the modern world a lot of two-factor authentication.
Yes.
You got to do a lot of work sometimes to get in.
Oh, my God, to get into my email.
Yeah, boy, it takes a while. But you feel a lot more secure with stuff like that happening as opposed to, like when I try signing into something and I'm in a different location, like I tried signing into something when I was in Cape Cod.
Remember this device.
It makes you like sends you an email being like, verify that you are doing, like this is you doing it, like get into your email because we don't recognize this IP address.
I think every time I get my credit card out, I should be asked for a PIN number too.
Yeah.
Sometimes, some gas stations you have to. But most of the time, you just throw it around and they take whatever.
Yeah, for like your debit card, you're saying?
No, my credit card, too.
I never have to enter. I don't even know.
No, he's saying you should. He's saying
you should have to.
Like, let's say you had my credit card and you went over there to the convenience store to get some nachos. And you just swipe the card. Nobody's going to know.
How many hundreds of millions of dollars would that save in fraud?
Right. No, you're not wrong.
And it doesn't take but a second to type in your PIN number.
Mm-hmm.
So credit cards with PIN numbers.
Why aren't they?
What about your face on the credit
Sometimes
card?
I have to use my zip code with my credit card. I'm getting gas sometimes.
I'm just never asked any information about using a credit card.
I mean, at this point, I just tap the damn thing and off I go. It couldn't be any quicker.
It is really
well, no, I mean, it's easy to use, but is it how
You're
secure
saying it
is it?
shouldn't be that easy.
No, I get
All
it.
somebody has to do is steal your
and
card.
My premise is it's never been easier, but then at the same time, I think it's probably at the highest point of fraud and theft.
Never easier to steal.
So, Doug, we can't complain, old guys, when we can't get into our email in the future because we're advocating for more measures.
Who watches The Watchmen? Tim, if you need me to send wifey pics to the offshore folks for influence, let me know. That's from Shrimply Pibbles. Doug, he is going to try to get my money back by sending pictures of his wife to this company.
Should work.
A known tactic to settle a score with a gambling outfit.
Isn't this more likely an error on, this person is asking and knows the company, so tip of the cap, on the company as opposed to somebody stealing? That is from TubeSock. I don't know. I wish I would have screenshot it when I opened up my account last night and then saw the transactions, and it was like 30 different, whatever size bets to get to the point of, taking all of my money out. So maybe it was, I don't know.
But they left you with $1 and a couple
They did leave me with $1.52.
Okay.
So that's nice. So I'll put that on Alex Smalley to win.
There we go.
Fill in. I'll be handsomely rewarded. You are welcome to participate in the program with the Design Air Heating and Cooling email today, which comes your way at 10:45. Martin, you're a Design Air guy, just like me and Doug.
Love Design Air, not only their service, but the fact that they have a quality reputation you can count on for decades and decades. They've been around for a century now. It's a fourth-generation family family-owned business. They want to make sure your AC is working properly. On top of that, they want to make sure you have a great experience when they come out to repair and or replace your unit. They're going to make sure you have a quality service repairman there. Sometimes they're a silver fox. It seems like we have a growing list, according to our listeners, of repairmen they've really enjoyed. But when they come out to your home, they're not going to try and sell you something you don't need. There are times you need to replace the entire unit. That happens. Other times you just want a simple explanation and a simple repair, and that's what they specialize in at Design Air. Again, 4th generation, so you know it's a family-run, family-owned business you can count on. Great St. Louis success story. Longtime sponsor here, longest-running sponsor.
That's right.
Of TMA. They bring you the email of the day later in the show. I don't know if they want people to know that, but designerservice.com. That's the website. Set up an appointment. Even if you think the AC is just not quite right, you can usually tell that. You put it at, let's say, 68 degrees, but the house is still warm. It's not quite right. Maybe you just need a little tune-up. Find out more by going to designerservice.com.
Martin, it looks like the culprit has acknowledged that they were in my account. Sorry, wow. Tim. I thought for sure Juarez was going to cover the plus 1.5 goal spread against Mexico City. Juarez, as recently infused a bunch of cash from the cartel, thought they would be bumped up. Instead, 3 of their players, quote, died unexpectedly after they lost. No. So that's what happened right there. That was Loris and Woods-Wacko who got into my account and thought he had some free money coming his way, but the cartel got him.
Yeah, gets a lot of people. That is a bad break.
Watch your Apple Card transactions for charges for 2 furniture purchased from Walmart back in December that wasn't mine. I contacted Goldman Sachs and I had them reversed. 2 months later, they put them back on as if I were lying. I called them again and got them reversed. I'm now watching every month to see if they come back. Damn credit card companies. That's Sharon in Clayton, Goldman Sachs client.
I told you about the time I used my credit card at Target in Kirkwood, and before I even got out of the line, I got a phone call from Visa saying, "Did you just buy something in Kirkwood, Missouri?" I said, "Yes." They said, "Well, 10 minutes ago, did you buy a big screen TV in San Diego, California?" I said, "No." They said, "We didn't think so. Someone got your card and is running up a bunch of expenses. We'll kill the card and send you a new one." And I said, "Am I liable for this?" What? They go, "Oh, no, we'll take care of all of it."
Yeah.
So in other words, they just wipe it off.
Yeah.
And
they make so much money that when there's fraud, they don't even chase the people. They just give you a new card. So why not force people to use some kind of identifying PIN number or something every time you use the thing, so when it's stolen in a restaurant or wherever the point of sale is, that person would still need a PIN number to use it.
Right. Right.
They are pretty good at flagging things quickly.
Yes.
They'll stop it and call you, but it can be embarrassing when they stop it and you're actually making the purchase.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hi, can you call us?" "Yeah." "Are you at Costco right now spending $1,000? "Yeah, we came in for a loaf of bread and bought a water heater." "Yeah, sorry." It's been known to happen.
I even still had the card. They didn't steal the card.
Yeah, oh yeah. That only is the
They
number.
just tracked the magnetic strip somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. It also is like if you lose your wallet, like you make 2 phone calls and you know someone can't take your card.
Yeah, they're good about that. I just wonder, for their own good, why don't the credit cards require more?
I'm with you. But I also love that you can just like tap your credit card on the machine and be done.
Yeah, tap it, but then type in the 4 numbers.
Tap it and type.
Tap it and type. Papers, how do you feel about tap it and type? Papers?
I'm on board.
You're
Consider
okay
me
with
on
that?
board.
Okay. The program's called TMA. It's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen. Martin, I know that you have onboarding at 10, but the last thing you want to do is miss out on clearing the deck, in which the question is, what is the familiarity level with someone you need to have with someone to tell them they have something in their teeth?
Oh, yeah, you should always tell someone. Or if something on their face, something hanging out of their nose.
We'll get
You're
to
always
that.
supposed to tell them.
Don't worry. Jackson's like, "Hold on, Doug. Hold on. We'll get to that."
Yeah.
Clearing the deck. I also have a lineup question for you guys. Your savvy baseball.
I've been looking for the line.
I don't have a lineup, but I have a lineup question for you.
All right. I've been scouring for the Cardinal lineup today to see.
It's a little early. What are we,
what's
4
doing.
hours
There's a
away?
bunch of teams with lineups already out. The Southside Seamen actively monitoring the situation.
Guess Mo hasn't made it out yet.
It's coming up here on TMA. Email in the morning after at InsideSTL.com. This is TMA, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen, 101 ESPN.
TMA is brought to you by St. Louis-based Stifel, a leading wealth management and investment banking firm. Stifel is the firm where success meets success and has been since 1890. The company was founded in downtown St. Louis way back there in 1890, and they are still on that very same street today. New building, of course, same street. Proud to have called St. Louis home for 135 years now. Stifel partners with the Cardinals and the Blues and now the Stifel Charity Classic. They also sponsor Stifel Theater. Stifel is honored to support the city, the people, and its future. With financial advisors in 12 offices across the region, Stifel helps clients right here in St. Louis and nationwide manage their hard-earned wealth. Stifel also provides banking, lending, and trust services and has a full-service investment bank. Basically, when it comes to finance, Stifel has you covered. As one of the fastest growing wealth management firms in the world, their tagline is where success meets success. It's no wonder they've decided to partner with a winning program like this one on TMA. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Doug, is this Sierra?
I don't know who this is.
Was she courtside during the Knicks run with Russell Wilson?
Don't know where she was either.
Russ was definitely there. I assume Sierra was with him.
I just asked Doug. He wouldn't give me an answer.
I don't know where they were. Don't dance over there, Piddles.
How can you not? Sierra and Missy Elliott.
Piddle pack.
TMA 101 ESPN. Show's presented by Brown and Crouppen. Mark Hanna sponsors the 9 o'clock hour. He's online at evergreenstl.com. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, and Jackson Burkett on the ones and twos. And Martin, whereas you have onboarding in 27 minutes, you aren't going to be able to get out before Jackson clears the deck.
Yeah. So I don't know how it came up yesterday. Maybe someone had their fly open. We discussed it. What's the familiarity level you need with someone to tell them that they have something in their teeth or their fly is open? And are you someone who appreciates when someone tells you all of those things?
Well, so, Doug, if you see a guy with a pubic hair in his teeth, how well do you know him before you say, "Hey, bro, you got a shrub in there"?
Was this at the bar before we went home, or? God, I played right into that. Doggone it, this show has just ruined me.
Shrubs.
I would appreciate it if someone told me that for sure. Because sometimes, haven't you ever been to some important event and you get back in the car and you look at the mirror and yourself and you got something hanging out of your nose?
A little little leaflet of lettuce?
Yeah, there's something right in the middle of your teeth and you go, doggone it. I'm sure that made a great impression. So I would very much appreciate someone telling me.
Yeah. I think it's the way they tell you. You know, if it's like in a group of like 8 people standing around and someone's like, "Hey, loser, you got stuff in your teeth." If they come up to you privately and they're like, "Hey, man, like you got a little something in your teeth," that's appreciated.
I think most people know the universal, like, you just kind of point.
You got some schmutz.
Without saying.
Yeah.
And if you tell someone you got something on your face, they will always go to the wrong side of the face.
Right, because it's the mirror. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But to Jackson's question, as we clear the deck.
We're clearing the deck, Martin.
What is the familiarity level? In other words, some guy next to you at the game.
Right, a stranger.
Probably don't care.
Yeah.
Won't do it. I think you have to have friend, family level respect. You know, colleague.
You got to know the person.
What if it's a colleague you don't like? You just let it.
Maybe you're angling for their gig.
Just let them look stupid.
Yeah. Or you could maybe, I remember when Drew Brees appeared on Oprah, and when he sat down, she tried to wipe the birthmark off of his face. She said, you came out here with something on your face, and it's a birthmark.
No. Is there audio of that?
That actually happened? I feel like I would have seen it. You saw that? Chairman Kurt is confirming? Oh, my goodness.
How could that not be?
You got to be careful.
Oh, my. Now I got to go YouTubing.
Oh, boy.
You heard about that, Jackson?
No, but he is going to find it. That's
God almighty.
That's how do you really conduct the interview after that?
I don't know.
Like, I've always wondered in our "What's your grandma think?" after they said congratulations, and the player said, "Well, I actually lost." How does the rest of the interview go? I mean, it really can't go too. They can't respect any of your questions.
You would have thought Drew Brees would have stormed off like Gary Coleman there.
God, I'm watching the video. It does appear she tries to wipe something off his face.
Oh, it was bad.
Jeez.
I'm surprised, since it's a taped show, that they even went on with it. Thought they would have said, "Okay, we're going to start that over."
The audio's not great, so I'm not going to play it. But she says it's who just kissed you. There's some lipstick on your face, and he's like, no. And he's like, Drew Brees from all accounts is like an incredibly nice human being, and doesn't say this is a birthmark, but he's said before he has a birthmark on his face.
And why was he on Oprah?
That's a good question. This is probably post
when they won the Super Bowl.
The video looks older than me.
Yeah, it does look. It looks. He has long hair. Maybe it's post Katrina, talking about the return to New Orleans. Maybe.
Interesting.
I don't want to bounce around the Stiefel dossier, but Doug, do you want to get this best place to have herpes article Jackson included?
Jeez. The best place?
That's in segment 10, too, and I wanted to make sure we got to it before Martin had to go see Heim Bloom.
Best place on your body, or like the best city to have it in?
No idea. Martin, do you see that in the Stiefel dossier? It's in
it was kind of
10-2.
buried in 10, it's kind of in a lighter blue font, so I didn't even notice. That's a link, I understand, that you can click on. Whereas Motown was prominent. The New York caller, the radio caller that we got to, is in bold black print, which means I think that's the
key for
first
audio.
saying, get to it. Get to it.
No, that's not. Bold means it's audio.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't
There are
know.
codes in the Stiefel dossier.
I put a legend up there for like a week. I did for like a week. There was a legend on what all of it meant.
I like that.
And clearly that Mal put it back on.
That's fine.
So we're not going to get to the best place to have herpes? What do you think it is, Doug? The Caribbean?
I guess it'd be the best place to be anywhere, I guess. Hawaii, maybe? I mean, you're gonna have it.
I mean,
No, this was
it's your link, bro.
It was an advertisement by the place.
Oh, whether it's Hawaii or Siberia, you still got the herp.
I don't want to give it away.
Was this
but-
on Travel Wisconsin?
No, they had a big budget this year for Travel Wisconsin. The New Zealand Herpes Foundation put out an advertisement.
Sponsor, Martin.
Live reads are going to be a little rough.
www.thebestplaceintheworldtohaveherpes.com.
Huh. Why would it be maybe the Mayo Clinic where they could treat it?
No, New
Rochester,
Zealand
Minnesota?
is saying come here for it and
So
stay
it
for
was
it.
Everyone else has got it. You might as well.
It was a pitch made by the charity New Zealand Herpes Foundation last October when it launched a campaign to make the country the best place to have the infection. The campaign has been a roaring success, winning top prize at this year's Cannes Lions Award, which recognizes excellence in the creative industry.
But isn't that going to make everyone who doesn't have it not go there?
I don't know on that.
If it's the best place to have herpes, that's not where people want to be if they don't have herpes.
The video starred Sir Graham Henry, the former head coach of the national rugby union
Coach
team.
City.
He said, "We need something to be proud of, something big and brave to put us back on the map," as he scrawled the word herpes in all caps on chalkboard. It's time for New Zealand to become the best place in the world to have herpes.
Is this the Onion? Did you get
BBC, brother. BBC, British Broadcasting
Corporation?
Corporation or company?
No, it's
probably corporation.
Yeah, it's fair.
So it won an award at Cannes. Not bad.
And that's CANNE.
I think it was a very tongue-in-cheek thing.
Okay.
No pun intended.
Well, I know we're clearing the deck. Can I offer you Garrett Hampson in the lineup again today?
Oh, my goodness.
No, I'm not saying he is. But I did look at the numbers. Shota Imanaga is pitching, the left-hander, for the Cubs. Career numbers, Garrett Hampson is 1 for 2.
Nice.
So if they roll him out there, you can say, well, he's
hits him hard.
500 against.
He made a really good play in center field last night.
Sliding there, yeah. Maybe you need him to pitch today. Nolan Arenado in his career, 2 for 4 against Imanaga. Mason Wynn, Tim, take that $1.58 you got left over. Put it on Mason Wynn. He's 3 for 7 with a home run against Imanaga. Rest of the numbers not all that encouraging. Brendan Donovan, 0 for 6, 3 Ks. Does he sit today? You got to get him a day at some point.
I don't think so. Not in this situation.
Because you got to beat the Cubs.
Play your best against the Cubs.
And then sit them against Cleveland, maybe. Go all in today.
Yeah, that's why Palante's starting instead of Gray.
Because they're going all in. Yeah. Contreras 0 for 4. Donnie 0 for 6. Gorman 0 for 3.
Well, that's most nights, actually.
We had that gambler text in that he loves the Cardinals plus 120 with Imanaga coming off the IL. So, Doug, I don't know if you're going to bet it, but
he's been pretty stingy. I see his ERA is 2.82. So when he's pitched, he's been very good.
Tickets sold over 33,000. So we'll see. That's what'll get announced. But I don't know. Doug and I were talking off air that it's not. You can walk around. You can get around. It's fine. Head on down to the old bar. They have a chance to win the series, Doug. They can win the series.
Well, it's the game they need to win.
But if they do, then
that's what will matter at the end of the year.
That boy is scrappy, always making the B-fib happy.
He was actually funny post-game because we were talking about Pete Crow Armstrong the other day. I wanted him to play a little more ball, just give a little more of an answer. So Brendan Donovan's standing there, and I said, is it easier to flush a game when it's clearly a loss as opposed to a walk-off or a bitter defeat? And he goes, yep, it's already over. What else? He was just kidding, like he wasn't going to explain it. Yep, it's over. Moved on. Done. And then he went on to actually talk about the game. A lot of play. I will say, and we said it in February before we went down there, it's a very likable team just from a media standpoint. I think that relates to fans as well. You don't really have any like SOBs. You know, you walk in there and We've all been in a lot of locker rooms where you go, oh, God, don't go over there. Geez, don't even look at that guy. Really is a very likable group. For what that's worth, Doug, I don't know. Right now it's worth 88 wins according to the math, but.
Well, it's probably worth something to the players to know that everyone else is kind of a decent guy, because over the long baseball season, it is long. It could be very unpleasant if you were surrounded by jackwagons.
Right.
Hell's bells coming in stopper style. Lights turn red, B-fib go wild.
Almost sounds like Michael Bublé.
Jackie's swaying over there.
Doug, this is right up Jackson's alley. Jeremy Rutherford talked with Blues alumni with the new uniforms being released a couple days ago right here on TMA. We had Chris Zimmerman and Steve Chapman in. The alumni gave their favorite and least favorite uniforms in the history of the organization. We'll see if it matches up with our uniform connoisseur, Jackson Burkett. That comes your way next. This is TMA, presented by Brown and Crouppen, 101 ESPN. If you're in the market for jewelry, Moritz Reusch is a place that you can go at ninjabling.com or in their office space right across from the St. Louis Galleria on the 15th floor of the tower right there in Richmond Heights off Brentwood Boulevard. It's Moritz Reusch Jewelers, family-owned, family-operated for 4 decades. Moritz Reusch has all kinds of jewelry in stock, specifically engagement rings for the guys who want something to get put together pretty quickly, or they also do custom jewelry if you want to design something from the ground up. It is Moritz Reusch online at ninjabling.com. They've been around since 1982, and their experience in the industry goes back even further. Dan Reusch, 3rd generation in the jewelry industry. It's Moritz Reusch online at ninjabling.com. Is this Jack Johnson?
That's right.
Boy, I thought it was not Everclear. Everlast for a second.
Jack Johnson.
You know that song I'm talking about, that Everlast?
Yeah.
Sing the
really know what
blues.
it's like.
What
And
it's
he was
like.
part of House of Pain, Doug.
Okay.
And that's played at with going into the fourth quarter at Madison. Am I right on that, Martin?
Sounds right. Before they do that jump around.
Yeah, jump around. That's right. It's TMA 101 ESPN. Mark Hanna sponsors the 9 o'clock hour. He's online at evergreenstl.com. Brown and Crouppen sponsors the program, and they're online at brownandcrouppen.com. Terry Crouppen in studio this week. And Brown and Crouppen is the presenting sponsor of this program. 314-222-2222. If you are in need of a personal injury attorney, we would like to recommend our presenting sponsor, Brown and Crouppen. This program has been around since July of 2004, and the reason is the audience supports the sponsors. Love the show, support the sponsors. Brown and Crouppen, presenting sponsor. brownandcrouppen.com. Local in St. Louis, founded in St. Louis, going back to 1979. And if you are in need of a personal injury attorney, you're going to want somebody who is local and knows the local legal environment. It's Brown and Crouppen. When you call them, let them know you heard about them on TMA. 314-222-2222, or go online at brownandcrouppen.com. Remember, the choice of an attorney is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Coming up in an hour, we'll have the design, air, heating, and cooling email today. Buck Swope has the lead, but with 3 emails of the day left for the month, anybody could tie Buck Swope, who has 3 wins. Marlin's Family Barbecue also with 3 wins. And Jerry Big Tank Del Vecchio has 2 wins. So this is going to be fun down the stretch.
Okay, good times.
Today, Friday, and then Monday, and then off to July we go. And you can compete the morning after at InsideSTL.com. Doug, the Gallup poll is out.
Okay.
On the Blues uniforms in the history. This is a column that Jeremy Rutherford wrote on The Athletic. And I guess I shouldn't say it's a Gallup poll so much as he talked with a variety of Blues alumni to get their feedback on the Blues' different era of uniforms. It's similar, of course, to what they have released for the upcoming season. I would say the greatest similarity is 1968 to 1973. The franchise debut uniforms. They made a change in 79 to 84, and they added like yellow stripes to the shoulders and to the lower part of the sweater. Then, and from 84 to 87, do you recall what the change was?
84.
They made a change to try to make the uniform look a little better.
Did they add a little trumpet or something?
They added the word Blues above the blue note.
Okay.
And that was taken away after 87. From 87 to 94, the blue in the blue sweater and the blue note was a little darker. And then from 94 to 98, that's where the red came in. DBA, the clown uniform?
Was that when they also had that guy who would play the trumpet and bang up against the glass every now and then? Remember him? That fan who would loudly play the trumpet, had wild hair. He'd play a trumpet and then bang up against the glass.
I don't remember that.
You don't?
No.
98 to 07 is when they lost the red and added navy blue to their now 3-color scheme. The white version was worn in early 1998, but the white and blue became the permanent home and away jerseys for the 1998-1998 season. From 2014 to 2024, this will be known as what they wore in the Stanley Cup era. And then now the new uniforms, which take you back really to the original, at least if you're comparing the different eras. Doug, of all of those, what is your favorite? What is your least favorite?
My least favorite was the red. I didn't think that was appropriate. I don't think very many people like that. I guess my most favorite would be kind of what they're going to go to now. The original uniforms that I just have always thought that looked like what the Blues are supposed to look like. It's what they came into the league wearing. Nobody else had uniforms, anything close to that. And that's the one I like the most.
Martin, yeah.
I'm terrible at the uniform game. Even the other day we had Kerber on the TV studio, and I said, oh, they always have numbers on the side on the sleeves. He goes, yeah, they always have those. I said, oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm not the best person to break down the uniform. I like that kind of darker blue they had, that rich blue.
That was the President's Trophy era.
President's Trophy, yeah.
Yeah. That was
and I really like the Winter Classic. I do like that a lot, but that's new, so I'm taking that one off the table. So historically, I like that kind of rich, dark blue.
I love the white sweater that they just released. Yeah. I prefer that more than kind of that cream color. I think that is sharp. They wore the kind of the cream, the off-white for the President's. Or excuse me, for the Winter Classic, I apologize. The one that I would say would be my least favorite, I'd be right there with you, the red one. So here is what some of the players had to say. Kevin Shattenkirk said about the red sweater. It's one of my favorite NHL jerseys ever. I love the red accents, and I can always picture Blues players I looked up to growing up wearing that jersey. It's such an awesome design. Reed Lowe says, I may be a little biased, but that was my draft jersey, and I always loved the red stripes. Most people hate it, but I'm a black sheep, so that sounds about right. And then Jake Allen, when I was growing up in the mid-'90s, this was an iconic jersey in my eyes and symbolized the Blues for me. I wish I had a chance to wear it. So players love the red.
Jake Allen was a good tender.
I think it has to do with their era, though. That's what and Gretzky wore it, right?
Right.
So, and Hully wore it. So when you were a kid in Canada, if Gretzky and Hull were on TV, oh, my God.
I don't hate it. I think it's just weird enough to kind of work.
Some people like things and some people don't like other things.
I think on the whole, the fans liked that one the least.
I would agree with you, but it seems
maybe
like players really like it.
Curbs was saying Oshie loved I think it must be that era.
Yeah.
Guys who are about 40.
Well, if you're growing up.
Right. So in your 9, 10, 11, you're watching Gretzky and Hull for a minute.
But if you're older than that, and the Blues have always worn something a lot different, then it was kind of a shock to the system.
With regard to the original uniforms, this is what players had to say, 68-73. David Backus, the baby blue is classic and retro and unassuming. Then you get the hard-nosed blues down your throat. Brett Hull said it's the prettiest and the classiest. Barrett Jackman, it's simple, clean, has great colors, and it's the best logo in sports. Bernie Federico was the original one I wore, and the colors were the best of all the jerseys. Well, good news. That is what they will be sporting here in about 4 months.
Okay.
Whoever came up with the idea to bring it to that 2017 Winter Classic deserves the cap tip, because that really launched this whole decade almost now of fans clamoring for more.
I'm going to assume it was generous executive Mike Caruso.
We're going to give Caruso credit, even though he was out that week. We're going to say he gets credit. That Chapman stat, I believe Chappie, but 28-3.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can't believe we never heard that stat before, wearing the throwback Winter Classic jersey. 28-3. My God, as superstitious as they are in hockey, should have done it sooner.
Veiled Prophet has sent in a picture of Gretzky and Hull wearing the red sweater, and he writes, when you are this cute, it makes these nasty kits look better.
Oh,
that is true. I mean, that's what 99 wore.
When Gretzky wore that turtleneck, the kids talk about aura. That's aura. Where the Wayne Gretzky turtleneck under the uniform is such a good look. Oh, it looks incredible. I'm so glad that they're making the move over to the original more so.
It is a sharp look.
I always dislike, one of my things I'm weird with uniforms, as people know, I don't like multiple shades of blue in the same uniform. Like the Tennessee Titans have the worst uniform in football for me.
They are.
Because when you're like two colors are light blue and dark blue, I think it looks really weird.
Well, that's what they had when they won the President's Trophy.
Yeah, I mean, they've had that now pretty much my entire lifetime. And I'm not saying I dislike the blue uniform, the Blues uniforms, but I think this new one with one shade of blue throughout is better. And that shade of blue is like the perfect mix of Carolina and Royal. And I'm a fan.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would look at these new uniforms and say, oh, those are bad.
Right.
It's almost impossible not to.
I hear people's complaints about the numbers, because you look at the numbers.
So Jamie Rivers was saying, too. Martin, you said it. You brought it up to Steve Chapman.
Yeah. You look at the uniforms from like 98 to 24 and you see those numbers, they do look better.
I guess that's old school, to not have any kind of stitching or stenciling, the shading. I just don't. To me, it looks like your buddy's got a softball team and you went up to the mall and they pressed the numbers on.
Oh, that's going to break the hearts of these Blues executives.
I love the jersey. It's a minor aside.
Yeah, right.
That's the only thing I don't like. But by the way, Doug, I've been doing a deep dive. And a texter did say Claude Scott was the trumpeting
yeah, Claude,
guy.
that was his name.
He kind of looks like Mike North, the Chicago sportscaster.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his hat on sideways. He's banged up against the glass.
You don't remember him?
I do not.
They used to show him at every. Maybe you weren't back in St. Louis yet, because they used to show him at some point in every game.
Claude Scott combined comedic antics with brash trumpet playing skill, entertaining fans at hockey games around North America. It looks like he spent some time in Quebec, but he was with the Rivermen in Peoria.
Mm-hmm.
They had him playing there in the 80s. So, Claude Scott.
Is the trumpet your favorite horn?
Flip that off.
Don't sleep on the trombone.
I was going to say, I'm a trombone
the
guy.
slide trombone.
Sax, not a horn?
No, that's a woodwind.
Yeah.
It's a woodwind.
Nice, Jackson.
Certainly.
That's what I played.
Anything with a reed.
Yeah, I played that. I had to practice outside.
Tim, my wife would like to see you wearing an old Ryan O'Reilly sweater, and only a Ryan O'Reilly sweater. Doug, that's from the recovering alcoholic from Belleville and Webster Groves. I agree, Martin. Numbers need piping around them. That's from Jim Edmonds, tractor mechanic. Jim Edmonds, of course, texting you this morning at 5.
He's in Greece, not gardening at the. I hope somebody's tending to the farm back in Nashville. We kid the farmer.
You think he has overalls?
No.
Puts a hayseed in between his teeth and gets on the tractor?
Straw hat.
I think he probably has like a really nice tractor. He rides around and says, "Hey, what's that combine do?
Yeah.
Hey, who's in my field?" Jim, those are paid employees. Get out of here. You hired them to work the field.
Whatever Tim likes, I want to wear. Thanks. That's from Average Size Shabangas.
I still wish they bring back those navy ones with the arch in the middle.
Yeah, you're a big advocate of those.
I really thought they looked great. With the white numbers on the back, I thought those looked awesome.
I like those too, I have to tell you.
People are weirdly, hate them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't...
You know what he's talking about? The alternate that they had for a while?
Probably 2010-ish through 2015, I want to say, is navy with the yellow accent, and then in the middle it was like an emblem with the blue note and the arch around it, and it says St. Louis Blues
Buddy, I
outside.
cannot turn this. Maybe I can't.
That's precisely it. Yeah.
Somebody texted in that picture. I like the logo, that circle logo.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
It's got the arch shaded in the back.
I think if you did that with the new uniform color, I think that would be a really cool uniform. I think it'd be a really cool uniform.
No Blues jersey in history had a one-color number. It's really a bad look.
I'm looking at the ones from the original, and they look one color. I don't see stenciling around those.
Blues ownership hated the arch one. That's from the 636.
Really? That's surprising. I think it's great.
You ever heard that, Martin? Stillman didn't like that?
The one that had the arch inside the logo, the circle emblem.
Yeah.
We got logos and emblems, part of clearing the deck.
But I thought that circular emblem is perfect for like a ball marker, maybe a coaster.
Yeah. I follow you, baby.
It was big in coaster sales.
Yeah,
they were trying to reach
branding.
the coaster market.
I love a good coaster.
There are a lot of reports saying Stillman hated those jerseys with a fiery passion. That's from the 314.
Wow.
Well, who's he?
I have questions. So in my dossier presented by Stiefel, I have questions for Heim for whenever Heim Bloom.
You're going to see him here in a matter of
keep
moments.
him handy.
I'm going to open up questions for Tom Stillman.
I'm a big logistics guy. I kind of want to know where he watches the games if he's in town. Because in the Mo box, is that...
You think he's Billy Beaning it and doing it in the weight room?
No. Maybe the DeWitt box.
It feels like he has to be careful to avoid the media at all costs, too.
Yeah. Well, they had that escape hatch they used during the press conference in October.
Escape hatch.
But if he's going to be... And he's not going to go to Motown because that would be a little weird. I don't know. I'll ask him.
Martin is going to see Heim here in a matter of moments for onboarding. 10 o'clock hour is coming up next. That includes the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day, which you can compete in by emailing in the morning after at InsideSTL.com. That's coming your way in the 10 o'clock hour here on TMA, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen, 101 ESPN.
This is Jackson with the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. And WNBA news, Caitlin Clark will miss the Indiana Fever's game tonight against the Los Angeles Sparks as she deals with a left groin issue the Fever have just announced. That was another Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Doug, you wanted it. Why?
Well, because, it's just...
Yes,
I think it's part of the fabric. Part of the fabric of the community.
It's TMA 101 ESPN shows presented by Brown and Crouppen, and we welcome you to participate in a wide variety of ways. Calling in, texting in, emailing in. We got it all for you, Doug. That's how you can get involved on the show. Design Air is the sponsor of the email of the day, and you're a Design Air guy just like me and Matt are.
Well, everybody should be. Anytime you got a problem with your air conditioner and heat like this, that's the name that needs to come to mind first. Design Air, otherwise you'll bake in your house. And Seth Goldcamp can get out there or send somebody out there, maybe one of his handsome repairmen. I suggest you request Larry, the Silver Fox. But anyway, Design Air's been around since 1904 now. Been in business before air conditioning was even a thing. And Seth Goldcamp is in charge there, runs a tight, trustworthy ship, no gimmicks, no upsells. Design Air is also the longest running sponsor on TMA, which basically means they've got the HVAC street cred and the loyalty badge with us. Head to designairservice.com, schedule your service, and breathe easy. Design Air, been doing it right for more than 100 years now, and they will make your home as comfortable as they possibly can. They know it all about the air conditioning business. Design Air. Remember that number. The website again, designairservice.com.
Design Air heating and cooling email of the day at 10:50 range. Send yours in the morning after at InsideSTL.com. Doug, remember Joe Kelly, friend of the program?
Sure.
He is famous for this drop, Jackson. I don't know how quickly you can pull it up. I think it took place at spring training, maybe 2013, 2014.
Okay. I don't know the years.
There it is.
Now, what was he about it for you? Okay, I think he did it once.
He definitely did it twice.
And
I just played it 3 times.
What was he responding to? We don't even remember.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
We obviously asked a provocative question.
Who's big for it?
Exactly, something along those lines. Now, he's not currently pitching, but he is interested in pitching. However, he's only interested in pitching for the Dodgers and nobody else. He was given the choice by A.J. Przinsky yesterday on Foul Territory of the Padres, the White Sox, the A's, or the Rockies, or the Astros. Under no circumstances would he pitch for the Padres. Gotta love when the hatred between the two teams carries over to the point that a guy who's not playing would not pitch for a team that is probably going to be in the postseason. He says White Sox, been there, done that, don't want to do it again.
Fair.
Says A's don't want to play in a minor league ballpark, so I guess it's between the Astros and the Rockies, and he chose the Rockies because he hates the Astros so much for the sign-stealing scandal. So Joe Kelly will come out of retirement to go pitch for the Colorado Rockies, who are facing elimination here in the near future. Meanwhile, he was asked about the World Series matchups. You know, he pitched on both the Red Sox and the Dodgers, and made the comparison between last year's World Series and it being mismatched to when he was with the Red Sox and they beat the Dodgers in the World Series in 2018. And it was a very blunt assessment. He knew what was going to happen in each World Series. Take a listen.
I thought it was the same thing as the 2018 World Series when I was on the Red Sox. I said, they're batting Kike Hernandez fourth in the lineup. You kidding me? Like, I told them to their faces, that's why they love me. I said, bro, you guys are batting Kike fourth and platooning guys in the World Series, bro. What? Like, this is the best the National League had to offer? The Red Sox, I mean, it's just a whole different team. And then I said the same thing about the Yankees when I was on the Dodgers. I said, this is just a completely different mismatch of a team. And that's what happens. That's what happens in baseball. That's why there needs to be playoff re-ranking, you know, because you need the two best teams like the Padres and the Dodgers to play in the World Series. Period. That's it. Figure it out. There's no other way around it. You can't have the two best teams match up in the first round in anything. People's feelings get hurt, but I don't give a crap. You know, it's truth.
There it is. Joe Kelly, Doug, number one, said the 2018 Dodgers didn't belong on the same field as the 2018 Red Sox. And a similar viewpoint to the 2024 Yankees didn't belong on the same field as the 2024 Dodgers. And he says that's the reason why baseball needs to re-rank
the playoff seeds 1 through 12 and take leagues out of the equation, and then that way you could have Padres and Dodgers meeting in the World Series when they are the two best teams. Your thoughts, your concerns?
I wouldn't like that. I still like American against National League for the World Series. Almost always, both leagues have at least one team that's a dominant championship caliber team. Almost always. I wouldn't be in favor of that plan.
In 2015, the Cardinals won 100 games. I think the Cubs won 98 and the Pirates won 97. Within 24 hours, one of those teams was gone. It was the Pirates. And then 3 days later, the 100-win Cardinals were gone. And my preference, personally, is that they reduce the number of teams in the postseason. But I wonder how many other people are with me on that. I feel like I'm like in a 2% minority on that. Most people like the more teams in the postseason. But what I grew up loving was that if you won your division, you were now a step or 2 steps away from the World Series, and now it's multi-layered, and you can win your division and be stuck in a best of 3. Joe Kelly is way more aggressive than that. He just wants to see the teams seeded at 1 through 12. So if it got to that point, then wouldn't you just get rid of the leagues?
Right.
Yeah, you might as well.
Right. Yeah.
I don't even know what you're playing. You're just seeding the 12 best records.
Right. And with the new structure of the scheduling, you could kind of do that. Like, not seamlessly, but
winning a division really has limited value right now outside of the chance that you're in a division that is so bad that the division winner wouldn't have gotten a wild card spot.
Yeah.
And how often is that going to happen with 6 teams getting in?
Yeah, you'd lose out on some rivalry situations if you completely got rid of divisions and leagues. But seeding 1 through 12, it makes sense when you think about it through that way. I get what you're saying, Doug, on that.
You could seed within the leagues, maybe seed the top 6 National and the top 6 American leagues, and still have a National versus American League World Series.
Yeah,
but when I was a kid, we didn't have divisions. We couldn't afford them. It was just one league, National League, American League, 10 teams.
Yeah, senior circuit, junior circuit.
And if you win the pennant, you're in the World Series.
And that's how you liked it.
Well, that's all we knew at the time.
So you didn't know to like it any other way. Yeah. And that probably went on for decades,
right?
Oh,
it did for most of baseball.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And that changed in the late 60s?
69 was the first year.
Of LCSs, and they were best of 5, I think, through 84. Cubs and Padres. Tigers, and who'd the Tigers play in the 84 ALCS?
ALCS?
Baltimore?
No, they would have been in the same division.
Fair.
Wow, I'm in the tank on this. I want to fire a bullet at the Royals?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Royals and Tigers?
Mm-hmm. Royals and Tigers.
Yeah, Royals were always there, late 70s and all the way through 85.
I don't mind the way it is now. I'm fine with it. I know that the fact that so many teams get in is economically driven. They just have to keep as many teams as possible in the race as long as they can, keep as much of the country interested in it for as long as they possibly can.
Yep.
I get that, and it's not going to change.
Yep, I agree. I don't like it, but I also know it's not going to change. I understand the reason for it. I suppose if I had stock in Major League Baseball, that's what I would want as well, because it's good for business. But as far as what I personally prefer, it dilutes the hell out of the importance of the regular season. And I think in St. Louis we got the firsthand dish of that in 2022 when the Cardinals had a hell of a year, but it kind of feels like it was more about Albert Pujols that year because the postseason featured 2 games, and that'll wrap it up after being a 90-win team and winning your division. So Joe Kelly, anarchy. He says just get rid of it and go 1 through 12 on the seedings, and if that means the Padres and Dodgers meet in the World Series, then so be it.
It'd be an awesome World Series.
I'd be shocked if it's the direction baseball went, but that is what former Cardinal Joe Kelly wants to see. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Chairman Kurt sitting at the dais in the 10 o'clock hour with Martin and onboarding. Jackson Burkett is on the 1s and 2s. The program is called TMA. It's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN. Dents Express is local, and Dents Express will take care of you to the point that all you got to do is just drop your car off. It's a local gem, Dents Express, family-owned and operated right here in St. Louis since 1992. Gray Wilson and his team are the go-to experts for paintless dent removal, whether it's hail damage, door dings, or those annoying shopping cart dings. And now what I love is these guys aren't just good, they're experienced. Their techs have been with them for over 20 years, and that means you can trust the people working on your vehicle. They offer free evaluations, no appointment necessary, and they'll even handle everything with your insurance. That's right, you drop it off, they take it from there. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and located right in West County. Call 636-227-5050 or just swing by and tell Gray that we sent you their way. That's Dents Express, St. Louis's leader in hail damage repair. 636-227-5050 or just swing by Dents Express in West County. It's Dents Express, 636-227-5050.
It's TMA 101 ESPN, and we welcome you to participate in the program by texting in, calling in, or emailing in for the Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email of the day. 100 West Dental is a loyal TMA sponsor. They built brand new offices with the most modern of technology with the patient experience at the front of mind. Online at 100westdental.com, and you can find them on Manchester in Baldwin. Give them my name, and you get $1,000 off Invisalign. If you're on the fence about Invisalign, they have a digital scanner that can show you a simulation of what it'll look like before you even go through it. It's 100westdental.com or call 636-585-0100. It's one of the very few dental offices that offer virtual consultations with the doctor. They're trying to reach those who are anxious about going to the dentist and showing them that the dentist can be an easy and preventative procedure that can help them in the long run by taking care of both their dental health and overall medical health. Check them out online. You can schedule your appointment without a phone call. Just check the calendar online for availability and book right then and there. It's 100westdental.com. 100 West Dental on Manchester in Baldwin. Cardinal lineup is out. Doug Vaughn has it for you.
I believe it's the same lineup they used last night.
Really?
Looks like it anyway. Yeah.
Wow.
Donovan, Wynn, and Burleson, Contreras, Arenado, Sajasi at second, Gorman, DH, Pozo, Hampson in center, Palante on the mound. Worked so well last night, I guess I got to do it again.
Where are you seeing this?
One of the baseball fantasy sites, rotowire.com.
Huh. Hampson's back in there.
That's what it says.
Are you sure that's not last night's lineup?
It says today he's got Palante pitching.
Okay, there it is. Hampson, 2 games here.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same
2
thing.
games started.
On MLB.com.
But Gorman didn't start last night.
Right, yeah.
So that's the difference.
Yeah, he's DHing and batting 7th.
All right, Doug.
Okay.
You get Garrett Hampson. If he's available, you put him in the lineup immediately.
That's right.
Yeah. I imagine Lars Nootbaar is saying, what the hell? What am I, chopped
I've been hitting
liver?
home runs left and right.
Yeah, seriously.
But once we got the guy that the Reds couldn't find a spot for, I'm out.
Are his numbers against lefties just abysmal? I mean, what other excuse would there be to not put the guy who's hitting like that?
Probably the only one.
Right. Because, I mean, when he runs hot, he runs red hot. When he runs cold, he's ice cold.
I don't know what to say. Palante is starting, not Gray, and Garrett Hampson will be back out there. So there you go.
Maybe Ollie doesn't go for the jugular.
Yeah, maybe evil Calvin had a take.
It's like that guy next to me saying, take him out after one pitch. Take him out. I didn't realize he was the genius in the crowd.
And you said to start the show, why question Ollie?
Who said that?
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
No.
As we've learned, it does not matter. Brett Bielema was on the Triple Option podcast with Mark Ingram and Urban Meyer and Doug. He's presenting a little issue that's going on right now in college football. Take a listen.
And have 2 freshmen coming in the room. We did lose a guy to Georgia. Somehow he found his way to the portal, and 12 hours after being in a portal, he was on a flight to Georgia. I don't know how that happened, but it's crazy.
Weird how that happened.
So, but wish Josh and all the best. You know, he took advantage of that opportunity. So,
Oh, boy. It sounded like he was right in the middle of a sentence. Huh. And I'll say this about the lineup. A second ago, this said confirmed lineup in green. Now it says expected lineup in yellow.
Oh, Bill.
I'm reading it on MLB.com
Right.
/ lineups. And I was reading the same thing you were.
Okay. I like that little sounder there at the end.
I worked hard on that one.
It's TMA. It's presented by Brian and Croup, and this is 101 ESPN.
Nolan Gorman.
A lot of controversy about this Cardinal lineup today and what it actually is.
Listen for the crack.
They're mad at you, Doug, for saying Pajes is not playing.
Well, the first lineup had Pozo in there, and now I see Pajes.
Donovan in left, Win at short, Burleson in right, Contreras clean up at first, Arenado at third, Sagasi at second, Gorman, DH, Pajes catcher, and yes, you wanted him, Doug. You got him. Garrett Hampson, back-to-back starts. He's in center. And you say Lars Nootbaar has to be wondering.
What am I, chopped liver? Where am I? Why am I on the pine?
If it was
skipper?
a week ago, it makes sense, but he's been hot.
Yeah.
He has been hot.
Yeah, I would have thought he's one of your core players. You'd probably use him in this series. But
I wonder if Garrett Hampson has a nickname.
Shrimply Pibble says he started because he went to Lindbergh. Did he go to Lindbergh?
Yeah, he's a flyer.
He's
Garrett
from,
Hampson?
He's from Reno, Nevada.
You go to Lindbergh.
He commuted.
They don't have anybody on the squad from Lindbergh
that you know of.
They don't really have any St. Louisans on the team, actually, do they? Am I missing somebody?
I don't think on the major
outside of
roster.
Hampson and being a flyer, I think that's it. So there is your Cardinal lineup. And once it comes out from the 101 ESPN account, I consider it final. And that's it. I don't care if Pozo wants to be catcher today. He can't be. Pajes is in there, Doug.
Well, they're probably arguing, scuffling about it right now.
And Lars Nootbaar is sitting there with his hands up in the air.
What am I, chopped liver?
This guy couldn't even be on the Reds roster. Now he's starting two most important games we've played.
Absolutely.
Come on, Skip. Why am I riding pine?
How about ham sandwich?
That's what he said?
The hamster.
Doug Vaughn reporting. You're welcome to participate in the program. Many are. 314-399-9646. Email in for the Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email today, the morning after at InsideSTL.com. That's coming your way here in a matter of moments. Please tell Jackson to schedule a National Hockey guy. We're talking about Brett effing Bielema. We want Blues off-season talk. That's from Harrison's brother, Master. Now, in fairness, Jeremy Rutherford was in studio yesterday for about a half hour, and there has not been any developments with regards to the Blues and Cairo since Jeremy Rutherford was with us. Jeremy Rutherford did write a column, and it is on the front page of The Athletic, but he said in the article that his league sources tell them anything regarding the Blues and Cairo is nothing more than a rumor at this point.
Yeah.
But Jackson, you need to book a National Hockey writer because Harrison's brother Master has told you to.
In fairness, we played that Brett Bielema audio, and we didn't say a word about it. We just played it, and then Doug went back to the Cardinal lineup.
Yeah, because they had changed out Pozo for Pajes.
Don't sleep on the Illini this year, Doug.
Okay, and so the gist of this soundbite was that he had a player stolen from him in the portal.
Yeah, the portal opened up, and then he said 12 hours later he was on a plane to Georgia.
Okay, I think Pajes is a good catcher.
Yeah.
See? I don't
They got
mind
good
him being
pitching
in there.
Yeah. You know I like Pajes.
Mm-hmm.
James Carlton is who I like. James Carlton's online at carltoninsurance.net or call 314-961-4800. That's James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. He has been my insurance agent going back to 2019. I recommend him wholeheartedly. If your insurance went up year over year, there is a very good chance that James Carlton can save you money. If you have children on your insurance who are under the age of 25, you could save money with James. That's where he has saved a lot of money for TMA listeners over the years. Make the switch. They'll do all the paperwork for you. 314-961-4800. Or you can go online at carltoninsurance.net. If your insurance costs a leg and an arm, call James Carlton, State Farm. I'm a client, and I can recommend him firsthand to you. It's James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. John Mozeliak was on with BK and Ferrario. They're coming up at the top of the hour, and he was asked about the performances of Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker and how that factors into this current season and the decisions going forward. Here's what John Mozeliak had to say on BK and Ferrario.
Well, I think, they're young, and you got to keep reminding yourself that they're young. And so trying to be patient with them is probably in everybody's best interest. But seeing, watching like Nolan Gorman over the last couple of weeks, that's really encouraging to see. He's getting his hits. He's getting his hits to all fields, but still showing power, and that's a great balance. And so, ultimately, I think we're able to do what we set out to do this season, and I think players are taking advantage of it, and that's great to see.
Base hit.
And here is the conversation on runway. Doug, because you wanted to hear about.
No, I don't need to hear runway anymore.
We went into this offseason wanting to give these guys a chance to play because we believed in them. I mean, we thought we were going to be good. I don't walk down the clubhouse and the mindset isn't that we're going to lose today. The mindset is we think we're going to win today. And, if we really wanted to just blow this thing up, we would have made a lot of different trades this offseason. We would have moved on to players that are going to be free agents at the end of this year. But ultimately, we thought with the young core we had, the balance of those veterans, it made sense to give them this chance to play.
Delayed hit, kind of a breaking ball, had to wait on it.
Yeah, right. Stayed back, kept his hands back. Kind of a front foot hit, but he hit it right on the screws.
Preview to Garrett Hampson today.
Yeah, there's some runway for Garrett Hampson.
I think Ham Sandwich. That's a decent nickname.
Nootbaar's leading the club in home runs. Come on, Skip. Why am I riding pine?
I don't believe that is accurate.
I just read he had 11.
He has 11? We read yesterday 10 was the leader, and he didn't play last night.
No,
Is this the same place you found out Pozo was?
No!
Bill.
Hold on. I want to get these things.
It can be subjective as to who's leading the team with home runs.
It is. ESPN.com says Lars Zumar, 11 home runs, 35 RBIs.
How did I read it yesterday that 10 was the leader?
More on night talk.
Wow. I think they're going to be good, Doug.
The Illini?
Yeah.
Who's big for him?
Juice Williams.
Okay.
Or 7.
Slow day, fellas. You've been talking about the Cardinal lineup now for an hour, Doug.
Yeah, look outside.
Trying to figure out who's playing.
Go to ESPN.com, bro.
Go to ESPN.com, bro.
Not much going on. I was going to say on Tuesday when I left on Thursday to go to Cape Cod and came back, I was like, boy, there was a lot more sports on when I left than when I came back. What happened? But yeah, baseball is the only sport. Unless you're a big W fan.
I was telling you boys about. I'm just going to hold up my phone every time I get a spam call now, Jackson, because now we're at two an hour. Now we're at 2 an hour. What is the solution to getting rid of the spam call, Doug? Do you know?
I don't know. I really don't know because I get them too. Apparently not as many as you do, but I get 3 or 4 a day.
I thought Jay Nixon had the no-call list. Remember that? And I realized that was during the era of landlines.
Maybe these are new numbers. These might be new numbers that you haven't put on the no-call list yet. Are your numbers on the no-call list?
Well, all of us, when we were talking about the commercial break, we're talking about the number of spam calls we get. What is the solution? I need a solution for this. Because it's out of control at this point.
I don't know.
Also, my Nootbaar home run thing, my father, shout out to Jeff Burkett, just texted me, Baseball Reference is often slow to get the new numbers in from the night before. So that, when I read yesterday that 10 was the leading home run hitter, it not counted Lars Nootbaar's home run from the night prior. So
that's
Doug's
really
correct.
Surprising for a website.
It's really late. I've noticed that too. It's really late to get the next days up. It does not happen in real time. Whereas like StatCast is as real time as you can get.
He's got 11 and he leads the club.
He does. You're right.
Why am I on the pine, Skipper?
This is incredible. Papers has made an attempt to give Hampson a nickname, and he's been interrupted and ignored each time.
Seriously.
I love this show. That's from Little Beer Cats.
Okay, you want him ham sandwich?
Ham sandwich, not bad, right? How about hamster?
Guy who was DFA'd by a second division ball club 3 days later starts back-to-back games in center field as the team in St. Louis fights for first place. What the hell is going on? And we just go, yeah, of course.
Even got a chance to pitch a little bit.
How about the Hamptons?
There's a setting where you can silence unknown callers.
Yeah, that's kind of high risk.
Because what happens if someone whose phone number you don't have saved is calling you? Can you still leave a message with
I think they can still leave a message. It just won't ring.
It'll certainly allow a text to come through, right?
Yeah, it's just calls
I think that actually might be the best plan.
Sharon and Clayton has the answer. If you don't want spam calls, don't donate blood. I'm O positive, which is universal to all, and I get calls nonstop, like damn vampires. I can only give so often, leeches. That's Sharon and Clayton, and she says it's because of my blood type.
That was one of my favorite Jim and Michael exchanges in the office, where Jim's excuse every time was he was giving blood, and that's why he can't hang out with Michael. He goes, really? Can you give that much blood? He's like, yeah, I think you can give as much as you want. Well, you only have so much blood.
I don't know my blood type, and I've had blood taken out of my arm 100 times. I don't know it. Is it important to know it?
You know what type of blood people are usually the most happy?
No.
B positive.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
That was folksy.
Yeah, I didn't mind.
Advanced.
Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email of the day is coming up. This is TMA 101 ESPN.
This is Jackson with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals back in action. Day game today, 1:15 first pitch with Andre Palante on the mound for the Cardinals. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's the Morning After 101 ESPN. Show is presented by Brown and Crouppen. BK and Ferrario coming your way at the top of the hour. Fast lane from 2 to 6 p.m. Cardinals with a day game today. Doug wanted Garrett Hampson in their back-to-back days against the Cubs after he got DFA'd by the Reds, and he is in there. So there'll be a full post-game breakdown here on 101 ESPN. It is time for us to enjoy the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day. Enough already. As a lifelong St. Louisan, born at Barnes, baptized at Busch, and seasoned in pork steaks marinated in Bud Light and Mall's barbecue sauce, I feel a duty to speak on behalf of the best fans in baseball, since no one in the front office seems interested in doing it. I've stood by this team through Joe McEwing trade trauma, the Tyler Green era, and multiple failed Seth Maness comebacks. But this Mozeliak reign of zip-up pullovers and payroll flexibility has pushed even me to the edge. Fire him or I'm gone for good! We are not a city that asks for much. Just theme nights with triple XL giveaways and a utility infielder who plays the right way, tucks in his jersey, and looks like a good neighbor. Instead, we get condescending pressers and waiver wire relievers with launch angle issues. We got a stadium full of people still wearing So Taguchi jerseys, and you repay that loyalty with roster optionality? Spare us! What happened to the Cardinal way? We deserve better than a mid-market data firm with an Edward Jones night at the ballpark every third Sunday. That's from Huey Lotz, Doug, and he is in he's a season ticket holder in section 365, row 7, seat 2 since 1994.
Okay.
He bought his tickets during the strike.
Huey Lotz.
By the dip.
He's new. It's not a great season ticket location either.
Oh, now you're shaming.
Now you're shaming.
Yeah.
Happy Thursday, lads. Top 3 blue sweaters. Number 1, the new release. These will reign supreme in the NHL. Number 2, 90s alternate red. Thanks to Al McInnes. Number 3, first ever third jersey, navy blue with the arch emblem. The new sweaters will be remembered for bringing multiple Stanley Cups to the franchise and will never change until the team folds and moves to Florida. That's from my cousin Vinny. How about that, Doug? So good news.
Folding?
Good news, bunch of Stanley Cups in these sweaters. Bad news, a move to Florida. But it sounds like that's decades in the making.
Okay.
Do teams fold anymore?
Fold and then relocate.
There's not a whole lot of them. It feels like the A's may have folded.
Hey, kiddos. Look, you know you're my favorite radio show, right? Hey, Timmy, I know a little about gambling and fraud, too. Last week, I would have won 7 nickels if it hadn't been for that idiot Daniel Berger. But yeah, just like you have no control over someone hacking your gambling account, I have a similar story. I intentionally purchased a $50 patio set from a sketched-out Facebook ad. Imagine my surprise when I received a plastic watch instead. I had no control over this. So, Timmy, I love you, and I don't mean to upstage you. Anyway, got to go plant some flowers in a parking lot concrete crack and light a heater. Peace and love. That's from a petite sentient Salem?
Petite sentient Salem? Well, he's new.
Upon James Carlton's suggestion, I went to Bar K to see if I could find a lady. Had to follow KG's example and borrow a dog. If you run the risk of showing up solo, you might end up with some sort of watch list. After striking out a few times with lines like, "Baby, I'm howling for you," I finally spotted a fine young filly named Cassie sitting alone with her B-I-C-H-O.
Bichon.
F-R.
Bichon Frise.
I made my way over, but this time I let the dog pick me to break the ice. Maybe it was the thick aroma of stale dog urine and the thrill of dodging rogue turds, but we had ourselves a spark. One thing led to another, and we agreed to meet up later at my place. What I wasn't prepared for was her showing up in a full furry dog suit. But who am I to kink shame? I'll spare you the details. James, a quick question. Will my rates go up if I file a claim for excessive scratches on the drywall and unidentified pet stains in the living room? Appreciate the guidance. That's from Marlon's Family Barbecue.
Marlon's Family Barbecue.
And finally, ours is the type of presentation where a blind man from the swamp-ass taint of Festus feels free to drop in at any time and sit on hold indefinitely. To request information he was already provided and could easily just tell his wife to podcast his Monday call instead of going to all the trouble of calling back so he can write it down on another piece of paper he'll probably lose track of. But that's okay because he needs to let us know that the little thing on Apple TV on Friday night sucks. Yes, the blind man who refuses to believe Stevie Wonder can see is unhappy that he cannot watch the game. That's still broadcast for free on the radio because it's behind the paywall. Well, according to Libby Jack Virgin Fake News Soy Boy,
whatever,
you don't need a paid subscription to Ted Lasso TV Plus to watch baseball. And then a few seconds later, he mumbles something inconclusive while other people were talking instead of setting the record straight that MLB can't stop nickel and diming their fans to the point where they don't even bother tuning in anymore. He's a horse's ass for doing that. Meanwhile, in New York, there's Banny Little Rooster who's upset. He wants to see guys with balls. I understand they're hurt, but then you got to bang it out like you do at an Airbnb flop house where girlfriends aren't invited. Where's Oatmeal? Where's Herb? I want to see these guys. I want guys with balls. That's from Buck Swope DBA, the Recess Ladies Breast. And Doug, that's what we have.
Buck Swope.
The Design Air Heating and Cooling email today.
I thought today the finest of the emails was the cleanup hitter there, Buck Swope.
Yeah, I agree. Swope.
Who's the first guy, the season ticket holder?
Huey Lotz.
I like Huey Lotz.
Oh, and that puts me to the test now. God.
Vote for Lotz is a win.
I know this. Oh, man. I'm going to go with Buck Swope. Buck Swope is one of the Design Air Heating and Cooling email. Huey Lotz was good, Doug, and he's got that Section 365 ticket.
Yeah, I don't like the tickets, really. It's too high up.
Buck Swope, congratulations. You have won the Design Air Heating and Cooling email today. BK and Ferrario are coming up next. For Jackson Burkett, for Chairman Kurt, for Martin Kilcoyne, for my brother Kevin, for Douglas Elvin Vaughn, to McKernan. This has been TMA, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel.